Yes, that was an lovely video. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to one and all. William Arthur Ward, he was an American motivational writer, once said a very interesting quote on teachers. He said, "A common teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires." On behalf of ASMA, a leading community in academia, I, Chandan Anand, Vice President, InnoServ Group, welcome you all in today's important and exciting deliberation at day one of India's Inspiring Teachers Summit, which is a part of India Admission Hunt 2021 series. The event will celebrate the success stories of all the teachers who have tirelessly and fearlessly worked for the betterment of current education scenario. It's a very important day. We feel very privileged and honored to host such an event. We are excited to tell you that India's Admission Hunt 2021 was a 3 months long series of virtual events. We started from April, and here we are today, meeting again at the valedictory session on day one of India's Inspiring Teachers Summit and Award Ceremony. The 3 month long ASMA India Admission Hunt 2021, held between April to June 2021, continues with its pioneering initiative to bridge and connect academia with industry and students' communities in an effort to facilitate admissions, outreach, and career counseling through digital innovation. Here we have invited admission counselors, teachers, edu leaders, and experts from K-12, higher education, skill, and technical education institutions from all over the country. The event was also supported by key officials from government regulatory bodies, many leading organizations in education, and edtech companies. During this journey, we have seen sectors and industries opening up again with positive signs of recovery. The education sector has also taken measured step towards opening up with blended mode of learning. Today, we have representations of eminent speakers from school education sector who will be having interesting deliberation on the topic like responsibility and empathy, compassionate educators, the need of an hour for panel one. And for panel two, India's top educators successful in pursuing and promoting value education post-pandemic. Followed by award ceremony, where we'll be honoring India's inspiring teachers in school education category. It is going to be very exciting, so please stay tuned, everyone. And I would also request the participants and the attendees over here to please make this session more interesting and more virtual dialogue fill by just putting your queries and comments on the Q&A or a chat box so that we can pick maximum of the relevant questions and our eminent speakers may answer that. So we are very glad to have your participation as listeners and attendees, speakers and partners. Let us begin with the day. Let me have the honor and privilege to introduce a very special guest for the day, a visionary leader in the world of corporate with incredible success stories and an exemplary track record, having specialties of leading teams and building businesses. He is Mr. Ramachandran Gopalakrishnan. He is a director of Kiretsu Forum, a global investment community of accredited private equity angel investors, VC, and corporate institutional investors. He is a qualified chartered accountant with more than 20 years of an experience in the same domain. He is also a serial entrepreneur with over 39 years of varied experience in the diverse field like fitness, wellness, retail, finance, sports tech, and digital. He also serves as the chairman of the board of InnoServ Group, where he constantly shares his deep insight into the industries they serve. We are glad and honored, Jia sir, to have you as the special guest for this day. And we are very excited to hear the welcome note and welcome address from you. Over to you, Mr. Jia. Welcome, sir. Sir, please unmute.
Thank you so much, Chandan. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this exciting meet. More importantly, what I feel very happy about is the fact that today we are talking about teachers. Teachers who actually guide us, teachers who actually mold us, teachers who actually teach us, and teachers who actually make us. And all that I can say is it's touching, it's emotional, and while I belong to InnoServ as a chairman and ASMA is doing this, I would be failing in my duty if I were not to say that saluting teachers is something very rarely done, more taken for granted, and assume that teachers are there for you. They teach you when you're a child, they teach you when you're in college, they teach you when you're in the B schools, and after that, we forget them. They are in our distant dream, not even having time to say a hello or a hi to them, because we are very busy in our corporate world because we have a right. Today's a subject where we talk about responsibility and empathy by educators and values inculcated by the educators to the students. I feel this is a very, very important subject. Subject is important not because it is talking about something different, but the subject is important because when we talk about empathy, not to be confused with sympathy, which is not half as useful because you're only sharing the sorrows of the other person. In empathy, it's much beyond that. The moment the teacher becomes an empathetic person with a student, boundaries break. At that point of time, the three components of empathy come into play, namely the cognitive part, the emotional part, and the compassionate part. And when we're talking about the cognitive part, is the ability of the teacher to identify and share the other person's perspective when he or she is in a state of confusion, dilemma, depression, or whatever we say for lack of a better word. And when the cognitive part is understood and appreciated, putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and growing through an experience and listening to it in your mind, rather than showing sorrow or pity, I think the person with you feels much better rather than feeling low. And when we talk about the emotional part of it, it is more in identifying how a student can be breaking down, and the teacher is there to identify and say, hey, I passed through the stage. I also had these issues happening to me. And I fully understand where you come from. There's nothing wrong when you go through a low. But remember one thing, and then you also come through a high. And the third part, compassionate. Compassionate is a balance between cognitive and emotional. We always make a mistake in assuming that the student can comprehend and understand when we tell them something, when they are in a low phase. And that's something which we need to avoid. Our responsibility is to put ourselves in the shoes of the student, and sometimes silence speaks volumes. And compassion and being compassionate gives the student the necessary strength and the shoulder to fall upon when down in the dumps. Sometimes a student is down because he or she is ridiculed. Sometimes a student is down because there is peer pressure that he or she is not performing well. And sometimes a student is down because society looks upon him as an alien or an outcast for whatever reasons. And as a result, the student is in splendid isolation. The teacher here plays a very important role outside the classroom and inside the classroom. Outside the classroom, the teacher is a friend, philosopher, guide, and a mentor. Inside the classroom, she's a teacher or he's a teacher, teaching them the subject. Outside, you go beyond the subject. More importantly, you become a friend at that point of time and tell them, hey, I'm with you. I understand what you're passing through. Sometimes silence speaks 1,000 words. You just tap their shoulder and tell them, hey, I'm with you. That's all that they need to know that the teacher is there with you. And the student will remember this forever, because anybody who passes through a low phase in life, and if someone has been there with him or her in that particular phase in life, trust me, he or she will remember it forever. Maybe they don't have the time to reciprocate your gestures, but in their recall, you'll always be the top of the recall. And that's because you were there with them during their lows. No one remembers you during their highs. Remember, success is many parents. Failure is an orphan. And normally when a student is on a low, it's a failure in whatever field, personal, professional, career, or whatever, or peer pressure, that you feel orphaned. And at that point of time, the empathy that comes from the teacher is something unimaginable. This teacher needs to be empathetic instead of being sympathetic. The teacher needs to be showing some amount of responsibility beyond teaching the subject, so that the student feels, I have someone to whom I can go, because at home I can't talk to my parents because they are demanding certain things from me, which I have to do it because they are the parents who look to me to deliver certain things that they expect from the child. And the teacher, if he or she is there with a student, empathizes with the student and the student feels it. Remember, you have created magic, because for the student, then you are an inspiration. You started inspiring the student then. The student says, hey, the teacher didn't ridicule me. The teacher didn't scold me. The teacher didn't make fun of me. But the teacher told me to relax. These things happen, but we will be strong. We are made of a different metal. We'll be moving forward. There is no look back. There is a setback. There is a comeback. And we will together ride this phase. And in the peaks and valleys, our peaks will be more than the valleys. In no matter what you try to do, you can't have a life which doesn't have peaks and valleys. The highs and lows are bound to be there. And during your student career, when the teacher is there to help you, that's the time you feel most indebted to the teacher. And I, for one, I've always felt that the mentor or the guide has to be one who's empathetic, being with the student when the need is there, at the right time, at the right place, giving the right direction, the right guidance, polite yet firm, responsible yet action-oriented, value-driven with ethics, and thereby ensuring that the student is looking forward to a bright tomorrow, a future full of hope, aspiration, and success. Now, if I were to look at it from the student's point of view, one regret I'll have with me always is, even during my childhood and even now, I feel we never say that a teacher is a superstar. We always feel that actors, cricketers have all been converted to superstars. And if one looks back, that is temporary. As they say, form is temporary, class is permanent. The teachers have had class and they've been creating generation of leaders year after year without fail. And unfortunately, when I look back, the teachers have never been heralded or treated as superstars as much as we have created superstars out of politicians, Bollywood actors or Hollywood actors, and cricketers. How sad it is to think that the people who nurture us, who train us, who teach us, who give us ethics, who give us values, who give us culture, who mold us, who bring us up in this world in the true sense of the word when we are young, we don't even have time to look back and say, hey, teacher, because of you, I am what I am today. But no, we don't even have time for that. I'm yet to hear of any corporate or any alumni saying this is a superstar teacher that we'd like to be remembering throughout. These are the superstar teachers that we have. To my mind, even the students have a responsibility as much as the teachers have. Students, as they grow and become stalwarts in their own field and become success stories, they need to look back and say, can I show empathy towards my teachers? Even teachers are human beings. Even teachers have emotions. Even teachers have feelings of being successful. But sometimes they are unsung, unheard heroes of our country. And they keep on doing it year after year, whereas we finish it and move on to greener pastures. Maybe we don't even have time to meet them. I think when you're growing up, we need empathy from the educators, namely the teachers. When we have grown up and become successful, we need to show empathy towards our teachers and tell them, hey, I'm because of you. I'm what I am because of you. And here I am with you. How can I make you feel that you are my superstar and will always remain my superstar forever? Instead of only the real life superstars whom we keep on praising, admiring, or almost treat them like God, be it the politicians, be it the cricketers, or be it the actors or the heroes of the so-called fictitious world. The teachers are the real world. The students are in the real world who are molded. We, the students, will have to also be nurturing the teachers as we become successful, as much as the teachers are nurturing us as we are students. So it is a symbiotic relationship. Today, I feel very proud and happy that ASMA has taken the first important step of recognizing teachers as superstars. No less than superstars are the teachers. And let's take it forward and say, teachers come first. They are our superstars. The first superstars we ever know are the teachers, and they'll always be the superstars for us, no matter where we are, even after we have left our alma mater. All that I would like to end is by saying that teachers are the backbone of our early life. Teachers have to be empathetic to the students and become role model as educationists. And as we grow older and have success, the students who become leaders have to be empathetic and become equally role models to appreciate the teachers, keep on telling generations after generations that these superstars known as teachers were the people who made me what I am today and what I have been in the past so many years. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be part of the symposium organized by ASMA. And I'm sure as the day's proceedings get going, you'll have many more interactive debates and discussions leading to understanding finer nuances and hopefully gain some amount of knowledge and wisdom in the process. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful session from now on. Thank you so much.
Lovely, sir. Wow. Such a great and such a powerful packed opening speech by GR. So now this becomes, and this gives a lots of responsibility on our shoulders to keep the same memento and the same powerful speech for the entire day which we are going. But definitely, sir, it has your speech, your opening remarks have enlightened us a lot. What you are saying is 100% correct. So you have just defined the three parts of empathy, which is cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. Very well said, sir. It is a very motivational and very inspiring. In fact, it's at the same time it's very emotional as well. The way we are coming up with such platform, recognizing the efforts of the teachers over here. We would have done this normal events also just as a panel discussions, but we thought that it should be a platform of recognizing them and awarding them as well. So
as I said, Chandan, our teachers are the superstars.
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
ensure that we create this new norm of superstars of teachers as we go forward. Why only heroes are made out of real life actors and sportsmen and politicians? Absolutely. That is going to be my question always in my life.
Yes. It's value driven, sir, and it has been driven by ethics, future of, as you said, full hopes and aspirations. Teachers are the superstars and they will remain as it is. They will be the superstars always. They're spreading the light of wisdom. They're spreading the light of knowledge, and they're helping us grow at what we are today. So lots of respect to them. Thank you so much, Jia sir, for enlightening us and giving this powerful talk that will help the coming panelists, to just take the thread forward and have a more deeper discussion in the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely, great. With this, may I please invite my colleague Rahul Binoy to kindly introduce our first panel for the day, and all the eminent speakers I can see they have joined us. It is the time to introduce them and take the discussion forward. Rahul, please welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rahul Binoy, and I'm the event head and your host for today, representing ASMA. Let's move on to the much awaited panel discussion of the day. I'd request the audience to keep yourself engaged by dropping down your questions in the chat box for our speakers to take up. The topic of discussion is responsibility and empathy, compassionate educator, the need of the hour. I'd like to warmly welcome the eminent speakers we have in here today with us, starting from Ms. Seema Saini. She is the CEO and Principal, NL Dalmiya Education Society. Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome, Seema Saini.
Next, we have Ms. Pratima Sinha. She is the CEO of DSR Educational Society, Hyderabad. Welcome, ma'am.
Glad to have you, Pratima.
Then we have Ms. Kavitha Jain. She is the CEO of MDN Edify Education. Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome, Kavitha ji. It's a pleasure to have you always here.
And then we have Ms. Rosetta Williams, CEO Dalmiya Vidya Mandir. I think Rosetta ma'am will join us shortly. Now, finally, the moderator of this August panel, Mr. Anantha Krishnan B. He's the CEO of Operation Kalorex Group. Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir.
I welcome you all once again. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Now leaving the screen to you, Mr. Anantha, to take up the discussion forward.
Hello and welcome all. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a humble pleasure. It's a humble honor to be here. Thank you, Mr. Ramachandran. Thank you, Chandanji. And thank you, panelists, for having me with you. So as Mr. Ramachandran rightly said, teachers are definitely our heroes, and probably them that we are all at the positions that we are today. So first of all, my namaskar and pranam to my teachers, Guru Bhyo Namah. So with that, I start today's session, and I wish to first place on record that the last 1 year of pandemic and blended hybrid blended and hybrid remote learning has started to take a definitive shape in the country today. So almost all schools who have the ability to look forward toward technology have moved into this particular arena, and institutions are heavily implementing remote learning across their learning spheres. During the process, the educators play a very important role, right? And they have to take charge of things which they haven't actually done previously. More so, the educators, I would say, with the limited level of technological interferences in the schools, where I would say were not really very well equipped, but in no time they took charge. So almost all the moment when the lockdown was announced, it was just a matter of a week, wherein from a completely, I should say, zero online learning to 100% online learning is where the educators had to take the entire paradigm shift to. Having said that, the emphasis on education and learning during the pandemic times have inculcated a feeling of alienation, right, amongst everyone, including the children and of course the educators themselves, right? Man being a social animal always wants to be close to society, but fortunately, unfortunately, this hybrid learning has brought people away from mankind in terms of interactivity, right, and thereby increasing anxiety, fear, and an experience of loneliness. Students more so are prone to this kind of problems. So this is where is the role of a teacher, which always have been a important role, of course, but here the role of a teacher increases many folds to inculcate compassion and be the educator of the hour as the need may be. So therapeutic practices and activities are something which needs to be inculcated by the educators to comfort the students. So having said this, I wish to invite the panelists for their views on what exactly is the need of the hour and how do we plan to take it forward. So Ms. Seema Saini, I would welcome you for your views, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishnan. You very rightly put it together that it is important that schools realize the responsibility and learn to develop these skills in children so that they can learn to empathize with their fellow humans. I think the very purpose of education is first to develop good human beings, and then move on further and see what kind of livelihood or what kind of, how does that citizen, how does the human being turn out to be, what kind of citizen does he turn out to be. But the most important thing I would say is definitely to make humane people. And as schools, I think it's a primary responsibility, because we have the maximum amount of time with these children in any educational level that we go to, whether it is in higher studies later on or early childhood. The maximum time frame that a school, an educator gets with the students to mold that child is the school years from K to 12. That's the time frame that we have. So we can definitely brick by brick try to build the right kind of people, the right kind of citizens, the right kind of human beings that we want. And this pandemic has been such a definitely devastating in many ways, because it has shaken up the world and without any example. I mean, an example was, no living person has that example. 100 years back, there was this example of a Spanish flu and things like that. But how to deal with the pandemic, how to deal with the issues, social issues that come out of it, the political issues that come out of it, all this is a huge, huge challenge. And these children, the children from this particular age group, who are experiencing pandemic as a part of it, when they grow up, they would definitely have some experience to go by. But what kind of people do they turn out to be during this time is extremely essential. I know you rightly put together that the school took it over like nobody, no other industry could. We immediately went on the online mode. Education continued, learning did not stop. The teachers beautifully took on the responsibility and the mantle of teaching. But I think they, as the time went by, especially say since March 2020, when we started off, it was okay, learning should not stop. And then the ways in which learning has to happen. Then not just the curriculum, but the way in which we need to keep the children engaged. Then now the focus is on how are we developing kind and compassionate human being? How are the children learning the values along with their, what they need to be, taught through the curriculum? I mean, like I say, you can't teach values. Values are only caught. They're only caught when you see, or when you hear, or when you see people around you. So at home, of course, the family will play a pivotal role, but the teacher's interaction with the students on a day-to-day basis definitely is extremely important. And how does she engage students in a way that they become more sensitive to each other's needs? How the negative elements can be kept aside, like bullying or any kind of social pressures that children would be creating, because they're all operating from their homes. And when they're operating from their homes, how do they engage with each other with their cameras on, or with your there are multiple aspects that are coming into play. And here, as educators, as a principal, as teachers, how can we promote or cultivate a very inclusive kind of and connected environment where collaboration will become more important than competition, because we are all remotely connected to each other. So when we are remotely connected, how can we learn to collaborate? How can children be taught these values? So I think, just to put it short, and I leave it open for you to take it on to other panelists as well, emotional intelligence should be the focal point. We have to focus on the emotional intelligence of children. And how do we develop these social skills and the emotional regulation aspect that the children need to learn to do? Because throughout the day, they are in front of the screen.
Very well said, ma'am. Very well said.
We need to have a focused approach for all of this.
Very well said, ma'am. So kind and compassionate human being, learning values, family playing a pivotal role, and emotional intelligence. Very, very well started, ma'am. Very nice. Going forward, Ms. Pratima Sinha, your views, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, ASMA, for inviting us today. I would like to start with, how we started preparing for this academic year. We were very excited that maybe, physical school will start and we'll have students coming to the school, and we started preparing accordingly. But of course, the second pandemic came in, and then we could not open the school physically. So what I felt was, the teachers, what they had faced last year was actually a major challenge, and they overcome the challenge. But this academic year, when we met the teachers across our schools, we felt that they were very excited, very confident. They knew what they're going to do. They were very clear about how they are going to proceed, how they are going to connect with the students. So I felt that this year, definitely, because last year, the whole year, they were learning, the learning process was happening. This year, they were strong. We could see the strength in them. In fact, the ability to also understand the student and the parent, I would say, was far superior to what it was last year. The scenario had really changed from physical to online on the screen. So I particularly felt that, human beings, we are very good at adapting things, right? That is why we are surviving. So survival of the fittest, as I say. So that last year was the survival time, and this year we are actually showing that how we have adapted ourselves and how we can move forward. So, sir, that is my initial uptake on it.
Super, very well said, ma'am. The last year was a learning process. This year they were strong and they've adapted to the requirements. They've built in their capabilities. Very well said, ma'am. So going further, Ms. Kavitha Jain, Dr. Kavitha, how do you feel about the whole situation today?
Hello, everybody. I know there may be some disturbance. Sorry, I answer it. So there could be a little disturbance. I apologize for that. I just have one. I don't know if students are socially secluded or isolated, because I think their social networking during the pandemic has multifold increased. They interact with their friends a lot more on their social media platforms, with their teachers. I've seen a lot of teachers taking up to social media now to interact with their students, which is brilliant. I think what's really missing with technology, teaching students online, bringing in that technology element is that the physical touch, that little smirk, that little wink of an eye, the pat, like, Dr. Ramachandran said, missing that little fights in the classroom, those banters in the classroom, which would subtly bring so much more emotional balance in children. The ability to vent out their aggression in a sports field, or to dance out their, with their friends to the tunes of their choice. Those are the things that would really would not help students de-stress. So they still have the learning to do, which is non-compromise, because we don't want learning to stop, and learning shouldn't stop. So while the pressure of learning is still there, but all the other components are completely missing, which certainly requires for a lot of to students, teachers, either, because change, one, brings in stress, and two, this kind of change where they're suddenly open to not just students, but the parents and grandparents and family members of students, watching them all the time on the screen, I'm sure is way more stressful. Empathy to students and teachers, and I'm sure during the panel we'll discuss ways of how to do it, certainly is need of the hour. Thank you so much.
So very well introduced, ma'am. Social media as a platform, miss of the physical touch, little battles, little tantrums, and little fights that they do in the classroom, the emotional behavior, and though learning is still there, it's going on, and ultimately the child is stressed to a lot of extent from all ends. So very well introduced, ma'am, in terms of the concept. So let's go a bit deeper into the subject in terms of what is the responsibility of us as educators. How can we kind of take this particular issue bang on, and what measures do we have to build in? What responsibilities do we have to cater to? So going ahead with such intricate questions, I would like to ask each one of you in terms of what is our role today, right? So we need to define our roles. So starting with you, Ms. Seema Saini. How can educators take responsibility to help students going through a tough transition period through blended and remote learning?
So I believe in this case, the class teacher or the subject teacher, the teacher who's interacting with the students, plays a very important role. She not only engages the children in teaching the content or the subject, or by giving assignments or having them participate in classroom, but she's also managing dynamics. Ms. Kavitha very beautifully put it that in a classroom scenario, those little nuances that you see, the subtle, looks that the children share. There's so many other things going on in a classroom dynamics, which on screen changes completely. So though the children are still there, they're watching each other, but one student can create disturbance, whether through the chat box and can distract the whole lot and not just the one he's aiming at or she's looking at, sharing that conversation or something. So how does the teacher manage all of this? But here I'm keeping that fundamental topic in mind that you have put together, the need of the hour, we need to become compassionate educators. So we definitely recognize and identify one thing, that the pandemic has shaken up a lot of things. Home environment may have shaken up. You don't know, there could be patients in the house. There could be somebody who was COVID stricken. A lot of medical expenses have been incurred. Financially, they may be going through a tough time. Maybe the father's lost his job. Maybe the income's gone down. A lot of factors. So you cannot isolate the child and keep him out of that environment. The child is very much in the thick of these things, though we would like to believe that end of the day he or she is a child and this is the matter that can be dealt with by the parents, grandparents, or the school or the teachers or whatever. But we have to identify and understand that the students are also in the same pool. The children do get affected. They may, because they are not hearing complete things, they are not seeing complete things, in bits and pieces the information that they grasp. And how does it play on them emotionally? How do they react to it emotionally? And what impact would that have in the classroom? Whether they have those devices at home that would enable them to learn properly, whether they are using the same smartphone which is shared between siblings. There are so many factors into play. It is not just about developing sensitive human beings, trying to have emotional intelligence and teach them the right values. Definitely that is our fundamental role. But I think as educators, we need to be sensitive to understand that this is the scenario. And why just the children, even the teachers? You don't know how the teachers are putting things together for their class along with the work that they manage at home. So these times are such that we have to ensure that as educators, we also keep in mind and try to regulate our, teaching, learning process that needs to happen with minimum of I let the children not be hit by this as badly. How can we cushion them? How can we insulate through our activities, fun learning activities? How do we distract our children and give them that emotional balance that life is not just about this? How do we work on developing resilience in children? So as educators, I think we need to look at all of these factors as well.
Very, very well said, ma'am. Very, very well said. What I really like is the child is in the midst of thick and thin of what's happening, right? And how can you alienate the child from what's happening around him or her? And that's where the teacher's role, or that's where the educator's role comes in, to manage the dynamics around the child, not only about her own self or his own self for the teacher, but also for the child. Very, very well said, ma'am. So going ahead, Dr. Kavitha, I would like to ask you, how important is it for educators to show empathy in order to encourage students to pursue learning despite problems in their surroundings, right? So I'm just extending what Ms. Seema said to you in terms of the surroundings and what exactly is the teacher's role here. So you can kindly put some light on that.
Thank you so much. I remember the old saying, nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. When students feel that care from the teachers, their willingness to learn opens up. And that care is just many times, like, the previous speaker did mention, just listening. Empathy begins with understanding what the issue is. So we say ability to understand what is a child going through. And there may be problems at home, there may not be problems at home, but the fact that there is a pandemic and the child is locked at home is the biggest problem, apart from everything else that the child may be facing. Because, I was just talking to a parent yesterday whose child studies in grade 3 in our school, and the younger sibling is just, the younger child is 2.5 years old, and the parent was telling me, my child, the moment he sees a stranger, he starts crying, because he has not seen strangers at all in 2.5 years of his life. He was young, and then pandemic hit. He's not met strangers. He's been at home all through. So today, the moment a stranger, even if we have to take him for a vaccination, we have to get a nurse home to inject him, because The moment we take him out to a hospital, he starts howling because he's not seen children. So the fact of being isolated, the fact that they're being isolated itself is a problem. So for teachers to understand that, imagine themselves in that situation. Many times we feel, okay, we are also going through the same situation, so what big deal about it? But it's very difficult for adults and for children. And I also have heard many teachers say, this is very convenient. When it comes to learning, you say, don't treat a child equal, don't treat them below you, take them as your equals, and it's all of you don't know in the class, it's okay. But when it comes to empathy, you want to put the child as, a child and not as an adult. But intelligence wise, you may still want to treat a child equal because the availability of knowledge is so accessible today. May not be wisdom, but definitely content. But emotionally, they are still kids. They are going to have their tantrums. They are going to be irritated, be annoyed. And for a teacher to understand and say, okay, I understand you're not liking this. I understand this is difficult for you. I understand this is not the best situation for us to be in. And I am not liking it either. Brings the child to at least this understanding that my teacher knows, is aware, and she cares about my situation. Unless a mind is happy, expecting the mind to perform cognitive tasks is unrealistic and unreasonable. For all of us to perform in our current roles, I think it's important that we are first happy, sane-headed, emotionally balanced, because when we're not, it does reflect on our performance, and so is it for the students. So I think before the teachers even expect results from the students, it's important that they express empathy, and same goes with parents also, because parents either put it in two ways. One, they would say, the teacher isn't doing enough, hence my child is not learning, or mera bacha to aise hi hai, this is how my child is. All the time he's on the computer. We are not helping the child by saying this in any manner. Rather to say, yes, I understand it's a difficult situation for you, so let's moderate and see how we can balance all the roles that we have to play, would help the child and the teacher, I'm sure, immensely. Thank you so much.
Very, very, very well said, ma'am. I really like the way you said, if a child sees a stranger doesn't see a stranger for a long time, and the child is socially insecure, and that's exactly what's happening with many kids around us, right? And also, I really like what you said in terms of, unless the mind is happy, the mind can't perform. It's so true, right? For everybody, for the teachers, for us, for the children, everybody, right? Emotional balance being the most important thing, right? And the balancing role is again what the teacher and educators are expected to do. So taking this forward, Ms. Sinha, you are the CEO of multiple schools, right? So you have a huge experience behind you. I think this question would be best suited for you. How can educators engage various stakeholders in the field of therapy and education to relieve the students from the various social stress?
Yeah, so I would like to actually share with you an instant about 10 years back. I remember, those days we used to interview the parents and the students when they used to come for admissions. And this particular child who had come to me, he had to write an essay of 5 to 6 lines. And he wrote at the end of the essay that I am like a caravan, moving from one place to another. So I had a chat with him. I'm talking about 10 years back, this scenario, and he told me that my parents, they do not like one school, they shift me to another school. They do not like that school, they shift me to another school. So I'm talking about 10 years back, this scenario. Now today the scenario is that the child is studying within the 4 walls of his house. Yes, please keep that in mind, first of all. Then secondly, we are talking about a lot of expectations from the teachers, right? The teacher needs to be empathetic, the teacher has to be resilient, the teacher has to be, support and guide and mentor and so on and so forth. But are we looking at healing the teachers first? That is so very important. We know, all of us know how much change the teacher had to go throughout last year. There were so many senior teachers who never knew how to use the technology. There were so many young teachers who didn't know how to teach online. So first and foremost, I would say that instead of expecting so much from the teachers, first we have to look into the well-being and healing of our teachers. So the emotional stability, emotional intelligence that we are talking about should be coming into our students. Actually, we have to see that our teachers are emotionally very, very stable as of today. Only then it will filter down to the students in the classroom. Right, so a lot of counseling sessions, where teachers can understand. They should be given that kind of exposure to talk, and they should have chat sessions among themselves, among the teachers of other schools, and so on and so forth. So that is the main first crux of the matter, is the teacher has to be emotionally stable. Only then she can create that kind of stability, emotional stability, empathy in the classroom within the students. Second point that I would like to bring up is the parents, like connectivity and relationship with the parents. As you said, stakeholders, the second stakeholder will be the parent in my list of priorities, where I would like to give, parenting tips. Because we have a lot of young parents, as Kavitha said, that there are parents, they don't know how to deal with the younger one because the younger one doesn't know how to go out into the world. So a lot of parent relationship has to be built by the school. It's the curriculum and all those things will happen. It's not that they will not happen. Finishing of portion, curriculum, and so on and so forth will happen. But the second point, at least now during this pandemic time, is building good relationship, giving good parenting tips to our parents. That is my second priority. Then we come to the students. When my teachers are emotionally stable, my parents understand what they need to give to their child at home and what is expected from the school, I'm pretty sure that it will all filter down to the students. Right? I read somewhere that, a child laughs for 300 times in an average in a day. And an adult life laughs only 150 times in a day. So I would say first thing is start a laughing club in your school. Online laughing club should be the first thing that we need to start in our school, where children are given that kind of freedom to just laugh. When we go for our morning walks, we have laughing clubs in those parks and all that, where old people are laughing. Why not the youngsters? Why don't they get that kind of freedom to laugh, even though it's online? So this is nothing but, again, building up relationships. The other day I was in a session, and the principals were sharing such lovely ideas, what they've started. They had this, one of the principals told me that they had this hangout session. I love the word hangout because, for teenagers, when you say hangout, let's hang out at the coffee shop or whatever it is, coffee at a cafe or whatever it is. So this is the kind of thing that principal shared, that, that hangout session is a very, very happening thing in our school, where children love to join and talk about different topics and all. So this is nothing but being, connecting the educator, as we are naming the teacher as the educator. In fact, we can have the parent also joining in during the hangout session, that everybody can, speak something or the other relevant point, discussion. So the child also feels that, yes, we are all a family. Right? So these kind of, one of the actually principal also said that they have something called refreshing hours, where children can just talk among themselves and chat among themselves, and kind of they are refreshed to go on to the next period or whatever it is. So these are very, very lot of new ideas and and initiatives that schools are taking up to come up with such lovely ideas. In fact, we in our preschools also, we have something called home chores, where we tell our, these are nothing but simple life skill values that we teach to our child, that you are at home, you need to help your mom and dad. So how do you go about that? You have to help mom and maybe peeling the vegetable, or maybe laying the table, or maybe watering the plants. So these are simple initiatives that are taken up by lots and lots of schools to connect with students, to make them feel that they are not separated or segregated, but they are part of the school family and the home family. Of course, we have to actually think about post-pandemic, as we are thinking now. I'm sure we'll have to start different kind of sessions as to how we have to deal with students when they come back to the school. Because right now, they are connected with their peers in whatever way the schools can do. But when it comes down to physical school, again, we'll have to start taking different sessions with the students so that they get to know how to again deal with physical contact. So these are my thoughts, sir. Thank
Lovely.
you.
I love that hangout session, the refreshing hours. These are really, lovely initiatives, a laughter club. Well, it reminds me, in our organization, we can have announced about 10 different clubs: a cooking club, a laughter club, a music club, of which I myself am a member. So these are all newfound hobbies during the lockdown period for across the teaching fraternity, right? So I never knew I could sing, but I found out that I really sing well. Not that I'm boasting of myself, but then that's the reality. So it's a newly found hobby during the pandemic from such an initiative. So, and I really like the way you have addressed it in terms of connectivity with the parents, in terms of, engaging with the child at the home and at the school. So these are beautiful initiatives. So if taken in a very well-planned manner, would definitely bring us a lot of results. That's beautifully said, ma'am. I have one last question for all the three panelists here. You can take it in whatever order you want to take it like. In what ways can empathy and compassion be exchanged effectively between a student and an educator to foster a transparent environment? See, we have spoken about empathy, right? But we've not spoken about compassion yet. So if you can kindly put some thoughts on how do we, make compassionate teachers full of empathy. So if you can just put your thoughts on it, please.
So can I?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So who's going? Can I go ahead? I thought.
Certainly, ma'am. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So as you just asked, the final statement that you put in, that to dwell on compassion, I would say, it's not necessary that every compassionate person will bring about kindness and would bring in empathy. So it may sound quite stark what I'm saying, but yeah, how I look at it is, when compassion is backed by action, that is when kindness comes in. Otherwise, there could be many people who could be helping out and who are not compassionate. So what do we mean by compassion when we talk of it? And when we want children to be compassionate, we have to begin with it ourselves. Example is the best form of precept. So how do we bring in that compassion into action so that we have a kind world where people take care of each other? And it's only schools that have this golden opportunity to cultivate the compassionate side of children or compassionate side of students, by creating a school culture in which kindness can be practiced. Journals can be kept, whether do 2 kind acts or 3 kind acts that you do in a day. It could be small acts that a child enacts at home, but just dwelling on that, just reflecting on that, and the child maintaining that journal and putting down, penning something there, discussing it in the class, reflecting on it, giving some time for reflection. It's extremely important. So when we talk of empathy, it is, you want to treat others as you want to be treated yourself. You want to put yourself in the other person's shoes. That is what empathy is all about. And when you do that, how do you want people to be with you? So without compassion, to actually be able to empathize gets difficult. And when your compassion will fructify into some action, into some deed, that's when kindness comes in. That's when the society also improves. So I think these are sometimes, it may be an inherent trait somebody may have, but sometimes these needs to be practiced. It needs to be strengthened. And we as teachers need to do that with our children in school through small acts, through making some reflections. And at home, of course, I'm sure the parents also do it. Parents, grandparents, they play a very important role in also enabling these values to come up. But perceptions are there. Each person perceives situations differently, so their reactions to situations differ. But at least the generalized things can be taken up by the schools, by the teachers. And like you said, when we are looking at that caring, sharing aspect, collaboration, it becomes very important that we have circle time in classroom. That circle time enables students to not just share and reflect. Suppose you want to get out of the tedious process of writing reflections, which may seem tedious to some, but I think it's a very beautiful habit that can be developed in people and can stay on with people long term. The writing journals, however you put it, it's a very good way to reflect on your own thoughts at times. In our school, sir, what we have done is we have also, especially our primary teachers, they've made the classroom mascots, so like a soft toy, animal soft toy. So, oh, I'm noticing this child is sad. What's up? Why are you unhappy? Or why are you not participating today? Or you could have some maths buddy. When a wrong answer comes up, instead of putting down by this is wrong, it could be said through that buddy, that crocodile who comes in as a maths buddy and says right or wrong. And these are little ways in which you're sensitive to the how the child takes on things and how his mood would build up through the day, or how does he feel at that point of time. These are my 2 cents on it. What I think, that compassion needs to be practiced through everyday little deeds.
Lovely. So my takeaway points from what you said is compassion backed by action and kindness to be practiced. Very, very well said. Ms. Pratima, would you like to take it forward from here?
Yeah, so I feel, harsh times as of now, what we're talking about, definitely need a lot of gentleness. Compassion, of course, we always, feel that when we are in the line of education, when we are in the field of education, we need to be compassionate, whether it is physical or whether it is online. We need to have empathy. We need to have resilience. We need to have adaptability. So yes, these attitudes, I would say, should always be there with us. It's not just because of online. Once we start physical school, also we need to be compassionate. We need to be empathetic. So these are, I would say, ongoing attitudes that we have to retain. And as I told earlier, that if the teachers are empathetic and compassionate, definitely our students will also turn out to be, they'll have the right values of compassion and empathy towards others.
Lovely, lovely. So, I think Dr. Kavitha is not there. I think she's facing some network issues. So what I basically feel is it's a 360-degree approach that is required. While that we all talk about and recognize the need for the child and the teacher, but some real-time actions have to be planned and engaged as a organization or as a consortium of organizations, and we need to exchange all the good practices that we do among schools, right? So how do we really engage the teacher, first of all, in terms of how do you upskill the teacher? I've always been speaking across multiple platforms that upskilling the teacher may it be with the need of technology, or may it be with the need of empathy and compassion, skills required to understand the child in and out, and to find the teacher herself to be in the child's place when there's a point of pain or point of need, right? Similarly, between teachers, are we able to comprehend the same kind of action for our own selves? Are we able to be compassionate towards our co-teacher? Are we able to be compassionate towards the institution, towards the parents? So it's a 360-degree approach that is required. It is not a quick fix that can be bought in a day's time or a 2 days time. Yes, of course, we did bring in a quick fix by shifting out to technology without really being prepared for it. But then definitely we have come a long way from there, and probably with the hybrid culture coming into existence for a long time here on, I think we need to really think about it in a much more comprehensive manner and bring out a very well-planned solution across institutions and with the governmental interferences, of course, right? So that is what is my take on this.
I would say that, attitudes and values, they do not come within a second.
Correct.
They
Absolutely.
are built, gradually. So we cannot just immediately say because of online classes, our attitudes and values have to change overnight. That can't happen. As you said, technology, fine, that's a skill that can be acquired immediately, but not the values that we learn through a lifetime and our attitude. So that's very, very important.
Lovely, lovely, ma'am. Very well said, ma'am. So I think with that, the next panel is already ready for the next session. So I would convey my sincere regards and thanks to Ms. Seema, Ms. Pratima, Dr. Kavitha, Mr. Chandan, Mr. Binoy, and the great DR. So thank you very much all for being here.
Thank you so much.
My great pleasure being with you all. Thank you very much. And I wish the next
Thank
meeting to
you.
have a very eventful engagement. Dr. Chandrasekhar is already there. Dr. Seema Negi is there. So these are all good speakers, very, very prominent, very, very eminent. So wishing you all the very best. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was a phenomenal deliberation, actually. And I'd like to thank all the eminent speakers for all their time. And Anantha, sir, you did a fabulous job moderating the whole session. It was a joy and a pleasure hosting you all. Hope you too had a wonderful time as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And try to stick around until the end of this event because we'll be felicitating top teachers.
Sure, I'll join back. I'll definitely join back. Yeah.
And thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now let's move on to the next panel of the day. The topic of discussion is India's top educators successful in persuading and promoting value education post-pandemic. Now I'd like to welcome the eminent speakers we have in here today with us. Starting from Dr. Usha Reddy. She's the CEO of Meridian Schools. Welcome you, ma'am. And then we have Dr. Chandrasekhar DP. He's the CEO, Jain Group of Schools. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
And then we have Dr. Kavitha Bajpai, Director and Co-founder of the International School of Thrissur. I believe she'll join in the next 5 minutes. And the moderator of this August panel will be Dr. Seema Negi, Director Principal, Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai. Welcome you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I welcome you all once again. And now leaving the screen to Seema ma'am to take up the discussion forward.
Thank you so much.
Rahul, I think, can the administrator kindly, start the video because I've been blocked. I'm Dr. Usha Reddy here. Unable to switch on the video. I need permission for that.
Backend team, can you please help?
Yeah, I think it's fine now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, apologies, ma'am.
No issues.
Thank you.
So can we go ahead now?
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back after a very, very insightful deliberation that the previous panel discussed. And there were so many takeaways and so many golden nuggets that we got. But we are ready again with a diverse panel is ready to share their pearls of wisdom. And the topic is so very meaningful, so very purposeful, because values are something that we do not acquire overnight. Values are something that we have to really work on with a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of compassion, a lot of trust. So today we are going to discuss about something which is very close to each one's heart, because when we talk about good values are like magnet and they attract people. And today, who do we have in our panel? We have in our panel the people who live by their values, the people who are practicing these values day in and day night, and that is why they are who they are. And as rightly said by Mahatma Gandhi, your belief become your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits become your values, and your value becomes your destiny. So the beautiful people who are there with us on this panel today are going to express their view, their perspective, and their life motto when we talk about values. So starting with Dr. Usha Reddy. Dr. Usha Reddy is an eminent educationist, and we all are looking forward to learn from her. Ma'am, I would like to know from you your opening remark, your opening note when we talk about pursuing and promoting value education post-pandemic.
Well, Seema, I would like a small correction. Post-pandemic or during the pandemic or pre-pandemic days, I think values are values and must be inculcated over a period, and we shouldn't undermine their worth, because as educators, I think that's as important or far more important than just the academic deliverables that each of our organizations do. Values are always, I do believe that values are caught, and not necessarily taught. So I think my premise would be that we need to begin with our teachers. So as a school, as an organization, and as a society, we need to be very clear that our worth and our success will only be meaningful if we have the right values behind us. And I think that's very, very important, because when you have a set of teachers who also understand the worth of the values, and then they start practicing it themselves, the kids have enough and more, stars to emulate from within the school campus. It's good to read about stalwarts in history. It's good to read about stalwarts, otherwise outside the campus. But for the little ones, I do believe that they do look up to everybody who's in the organization. So for all of us, living and practicing these values and creating a scene for the children where they can emulate effortlessly should be cultured and nurtured over a time period. And I'm sure that the values that are imbibed in them will last a lifetime. So I think this is the crux of what is true education.
That was so beautifully put up, Dr. Reddy, and I completely agree. It's not about post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, pandemic or no pandemic. Values are something that define us. Values make us who we are. And because of your high values that you follow, and so very well you discuss about your entire school premises, small children, toddlers who come to school, they look up to their teacher, they look up to their principal, they look up to their didis, bhaiyas, mosis, everyone, and they emulate their values from there. So beautiful practice that you're following, and we will come back to you again. Moving ahead to Mr. Chandrasekhar. Mr. Chandrasekhar, we would like to know from you your opening remark about this beautiful topic. So what is your say?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to both of you here, and also all the audience members on live stream as well as in the Zoom meeting room. I think very well laid out foundation, both from the previous speakers when it comes to values. Yes, the one line which really caught my attention is values are not taught and it is caught. And that is rightly so, because none of us can kind of force fit any values into our system. As adults, we know that, and so is the case with children, because anything you force, it may not last the test of time. Now, I want to take this approach at the inaugural session, that is the opening remarks for the topic, is you take any biography of any great individual, immaterial of any discipline or any field. Invariably, the first couple of chapters will talk about his teachers or her teachers and parents, where they are born, how they had a childhood, and all that. Now, come to the fourth or the fifth chapter, they talk about life-changing experiences. And the one thing which is common in all those experiences is how their values were shaped for the rest of their life. And you can connect. I mean, after that third, fourth chapter, you read the next 15 chapters, you come back, everything what they will do is because of that foundation which they have at that level. Now, if that is not test of the pudding, then I don't know what it is, because all of us are victims in that word, in that sense of values. And I'm not saying that it is right, it is wrong, but values have their value in our life and we need to recognize it. And the best part is, as children, if they can recognize that faster, then I think they can go better with their life. So this is what I would like to tell at this starting point. Thank you.
Dr. Chandrasekhar, that is so beautiful. Again, values have their values, and the early we understand that, the better it is for us. And yes, as an educator, I think each one of us, we are working out on giving the most strongest roots to our children, because those strongest roots are in the form of values, which will make them the kind of citizen that we want to make them. So we will deliberate more on that. But now I'll come to our third panelist, Dr. Bajpai. Dr. Kavitha Bajpai, we would like to know from you your opening remarks.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Bajpai.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. I'm sorry, there is some issue with my, connectivity. So I'm just trying to fix it. So the camera is off, but certainly it is such a beautiful topic that I can't be away just because my camera is not working. I really want to say what my understanding about it and what I feel about it. So basically, the value education is just not the responsibility of the school. First of all, I would like to say that it's a responsibility of the entire society, the family, the universities, the people around us, the community, everyone. But yes, when we talk about the value in education, so we are actually talking about a process which is basically trying to instill the moral standards to create more civil and democratic societies. So when we talk about value education, it means it is promoting, it's all about promoting tolerance, understanding, and that should be beyond our demographic and geographic boundaries. So whether it is political or cultural or religious beliefs, but yes, value is value. And as I would totally in agreement with both my eminent speakers who spoke before me, that it's all about, how well a child is being groomed. It's all about defending the human rights. And it's all about creating a good society and a very futuristic global society. So yes, I think we all are equally responsible, school or no school, but the entire society is responsible for the value-based education.
So thank you, Dr. Bajpai. And if I sum up what all the three panelists they spoke about, I can only say that your words, action, deeds, and thought, everything is in sync. So all the three empowered panelists have spoken about the importance of values. Dr. Reddy started with something called VOW. So I have made it wow for you, Dr. Reddy, that is worth of value. So worth of value is so important. So moving ahead, if you can tell our August gathering, how can students be engaged to learn values so that they become socially responsible and active human beings?
Thank you for that wonderful question, Seema. I think, this is a ground where children need to have the ability to actually practice values. And I think, school social responsibility, I think is a great way of actually starting off, because they learn multiple skills and multiple values in the course of execution of any of these activities. For one, I think students in schools like ours should first begin with what they ought to be grateful for, and then, kind of move on to, how they can actually give to others what best they can. And the kind of happiness that one gets in giving rather than on receiving, I think is of great value to all of us. I've always realized that instead of, like earlier on, people would say, isn't there a moral education period? Which was there in olden days. But, today I feel it should be, all encompassing. Into every class, you teach the values. Into every activity, you infuse values. But I think these activities of community service, social service is where I found that children actually, have an opportunity to showcase these traits and also strengthen their belief systems, which is very important. And this becomes like the roadmap for the rest of their lives. I'll give you a small example. We've adopted about 15 government schools. So in one of these cases, when we were doing it, I had one boy who was, going all out to carry the goods that were taken to the thing, to the rural school, and he was distributing. He had, blisters on his fingers. So the teacher was so concerned. She came back and then she told me, ma'am, the parents are woo. So, I wonder what the reaction is going to be. So this child was waiting for me to send all the girls away because I'd sent the teachers. And he stayed back on campus. He said, no, ma'am, I'll stay with you. And we waited till all the parents of all the girls also came and picked up the girls. And he was the last one. So I told him, and I remember this boy's name was Anish. I said, Anish, I know, he said, I said, let me have a look at your hands. And I saw the blisters and I said, I don't know what your parents are going to say. And do you know what he answered? Ma'am, perhaps this is going to be the most remarkable day in my life, because I realized what I ought to have been grateful for, and I wasn't until now. When I go home, I'm going to thank my parents for giving me the best quality education that they have. Till now, I didn't even bother. And the other thing, what I want to tell them is, I want to thank the school for giving me an opportunity to give and understand the value of giving, because only then I valued what I have. And today, this boy went on to go to one of the top premium universities in US, and he raised $1 million. Being an Indian, raised $1 million for water in Africa. So I think when given an opportunity and children strengthen their belief systems, I think that ground that you create in schools will last a lifetime.
So I think, Dr. Reddy, you have sown the right seed. And who can be more happy, other than educators, when they see their children thriving across the globe? Such a lovely story, and God bless Anish wherever he is. And definitely we will in future come to know about more stories of his good deed, because somewhere down the line, his schooling has played a major role. His parenting also, and his schooling has also equally played a major role. Just to add to this story, because something very interesting you spoke about, there used to be moral education period, right? And we used to teach moral values in 35 minutes. But is it possible to teach any value, any virtue in just 35 minutes? So that is what you said, that, I don't think that serves the purpose. So tell me one thing, if we have to eliminate these moral value periods, which many of the schools have done, which is the other way to teach moral values, which the teachers can live daily, the students can practice daily? What is your take on this?
I think it's become part of our pedagogy, Dr. Seema. So, like, for example, you're talking about the environment, okay? And having the right environmental values or systems in place is also a very important value. So a science teacher would focus on that, okay? Now we're learning about money and we're learning about currency all over the world. The maths teacher is going to tell them about the value of money and to what good use money can be put. So if you have a pocket money of an X amount, how would you like to spend it? Would you like to do it all on yourself, share it with your siblings, buy something for your parents to show the gratitude? Or would you also like to donate something for the larger purpose or cause, right? And a social science teacher will talk of the values of being patriotic, and of, recognizing culture and heritage of our own country. And, breaking beyond boundaries, also understanding that you're a world citizen. So I think in every subject, it can be integrated as part of any lesson that you're teaching. So instead of putting it in a nutshell of 35 minutes, where you can tell them nice moral stories, and that's how it used to go on, I feel it should be an ongoing system. So even CBSE had this thing of value-based questions in the final paper also. So I don't like to push it that far, but I think when it comes to teaching the students, we ought to do it in a 360-degree manner. Values in the playground. If you can display sportsmanship, that's a value and trait. If you're learning to accept defeat, that's a value. To also accept failure and rise from there and showcase that you can still win one day, right? So I feel every single teacher, from a music teacher to a sports teacher to an art teacher, will have to do their bit. And that's why we put it, at least in my school, into the lesson plans as well.
So thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, because values are beyond just a 35 minutes value education period. Whether it's your English, Hindi, math, science, playground, values can be cultivated anywhere and everywhere. And that is what I think the schools are doing. That is what the new age schools are doing. When now, during this pandemic time, entire education has become hybrid. schools are open for home and homes are open for schools. I think schools are following the practice of gratitude and empathy. And when we have educators like you, we see the live example. So thank you, Dr. Reddy. That was really, really very enriching experience to ask you this thing, because it is something that audience look for. They look for these live examples, how they can then practice the same example, replicate it, and then together we can make the nations that we want to make. So I'll come back to you again for this. Moving ahead to Mr. Chandrasekhar, it's often said that you need to treat the people the way you want to be treated. We need to live with integrity, honesty, equality, kindness, compassion. We need to be empathetic. We need to practice gratitude. And during this pandemic, I think we are listening to these words again and again and again. So if I have to ask you about preparing future leaders, I would like to know in what ways can we promote value education system in India so that we generate the future leaders whom each one of us will be proud of.
Thank you very much. I think that's the question of the hour, and I think that's the most relevant question going forward. The first thing is, who are we trying to give values to? Because today, if you look at the profile of our Gen Z or the millennials, if you want to put both of them into the consideration bracket, their requirements and their wish list is quite different, right? Now, I think that's where we need to spend time on clarifying values. Today, children, in my personal opinion, they are not having any shortage of values. They are learning at school, they are hearing from parents, they are watching from the society, and there are sometimes conflicting values. Like, for example, somebody says hard work is the best way forward and there is no shortcut to success. But there is another person who comes and says, it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. Now, the question is, as a child, the child is confused between what do I follow? Is it hard work or is it smart work? Now, my heart goes out to that young little boy or girl who's confused with this question mark as to which one to adopt. I think now more and more we need to spend more time in giving them an exposure or a platform for clarifying these values, because the one thing which we have realized over a period of time is what values works for me may not necessarily work for others. Now, as a school, as an institution, it cannot happen that I'm going to say, okay, these are my values. I may have values for my organization. For example, in Jain Group, we have values like learn, explore, and imagine. Now, that's the value for the institution. That's the philosophy. That does not mean everybody will have to adopt to the same kind of value system. So the value systems will be different for different people. We need to kind of take cognizance of the fact, and at the same time give that empathetic platform so that these children who are the future leaders, who are the future generation, can get enough and more opportunity to clarify their values. So the second part is the most interesting part, which I'm particularly working on. So I advise, and as a person who is connected with young Indians, where we work with the students in the range of 18 to 24, undergraduate and college going students, we did this interesting exercise, and I think that is pertinent to this discussion we are having here, is we did the future of everything kind of an exercise. Now, when we say the future of everything, we are giving them 6 or 7 parameters, like maybe different sectors like education, technology, agriculture, infrastructure, and all that. And we tell them that, okay, you anticipate the next 30 years and try to tell us what's going to be the future of all these things, at least 5 big ideas in these areas. Why this is important is, the minute they come up with these big idea exercises, they start building up on their small ideas to give up that future idea. And for me, as an educator, I'm not interested in the idea per se, because I'm not interested in venture capitalists or trying to take that idea and run a business. Of course, that is good and that is also important. But as an educator, my focus is, what is the child thinking when the child is presenting this idea? And in my own opinion, the minute you start connecting to the thoughts of the children, you will understand the underlying values of the children. And as you rightly said at the introduction, you said the quote of Mahatma Gandhi, that you watch your thoughts, eventually it become your values, and then the thoughts convert into action and all that. So there is an interconnectivity between thought, action, or head, heart, and hand. And all of that gets connected through the value system. So I think an interesting exercise for all of us to do, whether it is online, offline, in the school, is to make them come up with the future, so that is where the children are going to spend their maximum time. So if they can envisage their future in a particular manner, we as educators can look at the inherent value system. And if it needs any tinkering, of course, as educators, we are always there, and we should not shy away from that responsibility. This is my opinion.
So Dr. Chandrasekhar, it is rightly said. So it is like your value system is like your compass, which guides you whether you are right or wrong. And you spoke about generational disparity. And this is one very interesting topic, because most of the time we as other generation feels that the next generation is not understanding the value system that we possess. But the stories have changed. No longer slow and steady wins the race. Okay, you spoke about hard work and you spoke about smart work. So how important or pertinent is it for all the educationists to understand about generational disparity and then treat the next generation who is there in their school with their kind of value system? Because I really like the kind of examples that you gave. So some message for the audience, how they should understand this generational disparity, the next generation.
Well, I think absolutely important for all of us, and I'm sure everyone watching this will agree that it is important for us to understand the generational disparities or the divide which is there. I don't think that needs any discussion or argument over there. You know, what is happening is the way the values are projected into the reality is changing, but the underlying current still remains the same. So let me give you an example. Integrity, sincerity, truth, love. These things are universal. They are not going to change. Now, I may express my love for somebody by liking their Facebook post. Earlier days, I was expressing my love for somebody by picking up the phone or giving them a hug or whatever. Like, take, for example, Corona. Today, you no longer can comfortably be in a physical space which you were earlier before. That does not mean I don't like my mother anymore, or my father anymore, or my loved one anymore, or my child anymore. So the values are still there, but the way they get projected into the outside world is changing. So as a generation, if we need to be cognizant of the generational disparity, we don't have to worry about what is that thought which is going on in my son or daughter's mind or my student's mind. What we need to be careful is the way I project and I express may not be the same way as they will express. So if we both have an understanding, and that should happen vice versa, they also should be able to understand that, then I don't think we have a conflict of values. We agree on the values, but we only will look at how are we projecting those values into the outside world. I think that's my answer in understanding the generational disparities.
That's really rightly put. And to the larger audience who is watching us, see, understand there was a generation who thought respect means we have to say namaskar, and then came the generation who said hi or hello. Now we have the generation who says WhatsApp. That does not mean that they do not respect us. It is their way of expressing respect. So what is needed is we need to understand generational disparity. Otherwise, often we say that this generation does not respect anyone, and that does not happen. That really does not happen. So the one who understand each and every individual, they will agree with me that the values are still there. Maybe the way they are expressed is different, and that is rightly put by Dr. Chandrasekhar. So moving ahead, Dr. Kavitha Bajpai, I would like to know from you, like we spoke a lot about values, we spoke about how education institutes are imbibing these values and how they are living by these values, like whether we talk about Dr. Reddy or Dr. Chandrasekhar, they are the live examples of imbibing the values and then emitting the same. So Dr. Bajpai, what changes do leading educators observe in students after imparting these value educations in their institute? Do you think we as institute, we are successful in imparting the right values?
Thank you so much for this question, because this is a very open-ended question. I tell you the reason why. I would take the inference from Dr. Chandrasekhar, what he said. He spoke largely about the generation gap and developing the understanding. So if you talk about the value education today, or value-based education, that is VBE, what we call it in short today. So it is about adaptability and flexibility. It just cannot happen that we are imparting or we are dictating our terms and children are following. So here it has to be a lot of understanding which has to come into the action, and the schools or the organizations who could understand this particular concept, that it has to be a two-way process, it has to be an understanding, then they have been pretty successful. So a very simple example, like if I remember my childhood days, or for that matter, our childhood days, being obedient used to be one of the most, looked after or sought after value. And today, if we say being obedient, I think more so we want the child to be a thinker or a communicator or maybe an open-minded child. So, of course, the essence remains the same. We want the child to be obedient, who's listening to the elders, but we want the child to voice his or her opinion as well. So, if we are changing with times and then extending the value education in the school, the impacts are highly positive, because we are taking the generation along. We are talking, we are putting in efforts to make them an inquirers. We're talking about, we want them to be knowledgeable. We want them to be thinkers. We want them to be decision makers. We want them to be, open-minded, risk takers, balanced, and above all, reflective in nature. So when we talk about all these things, it means we as a school also have to take a leap, where we have to understand that what used to happen 20 years, 30 years ago and what is expected today is entirely a different scenario. So yes, the schools which have been very adaptable and flexible in inculcating such values, where they could instill the confidence in the children that yes, they can think, yes, they can express their views, they have been pretty successful. But if we only talk about the classes of moral sciences or moral studies, or honesty is the best policy, probably this is not something which these children would like to listen to or imbibe upon, or they would like to follow it. So at the end of the day, the success, the benchmarking of the success, there's no fixed scale to it. There's no fixed parameter to it. But I think it's all about the adaptability and the flexibility. What we have to take it, we have to go along with the time. And especially in today's time, like if you talk about this pandemic scenario, most of the assessments are happening online. Now, when you talk about values where you have to believe in someone, or you have to bring in the trust or the faith quotient, you have to bring it on. You have to believe in your students that yes, when they're appearing for the assessments, they are appearing wholeheartedly. So I think it's about the mutual, efforts. It's about the mutual understanding, and it's about changing with time. That is more important. And then only the positive impact can be seen, not only in the school, but in the entire society. So we just cannot be only talking about those fixed values which are written there, that honesty and if you say speak the truth and all those things. No, I think we have to tell the children. It's not that I'm not saying that I'm not endorsing honesty or being truthful, but it's about we have to inculcate such values in our children, where they know that character building is happening, when they know, okay, if they have to speak the truth, this is how they have to speak the truth, and this is how they have to stand by it. So basically somewhere they know that the support is coming from behind. So it's all about, it's a complete ecosystem which needs to be created, where children think, or the students think that yes, there are people who are supporting, they are audible, and they're moreover, they're being treated as a human. Because what happens is children, they're just children. So we generally don't tend to give them a lot of importance to their thoughts and their, the perception. But I think everything is important. And because these children are widely exposed to the world, like what is happening around. So it's all about, when we talk about value-based learning, it has to be a holistic in nature. It has to be, a 360-degree in approach. And it has to be changing with time, where the process needs a change, not the values. Values will never change. They will remain the same. Only the process and how we are inculcating and how we are justifying, like why this is important, is very, very important, because these children are very rational. They really want to know. They live in the world of WH words. So they want to know everything. So I think somewhere taking them along and then inculcating value will create more positive impact. And this has been seen in most of the good schools, that it has been happening around. But yeah, the efforts have to happen from all over, from all the sides.
So that is very well put, because we need to move ahead from the fixed mindset approach to growth mindset approach, and we need to take everyone together. So if you are talking about a child who is in any of the institution, behind the child need to stand a school and a parent. So when parents and school are together, collaboration becomes a beautiful journey. So Dr. Bajpai, heading to your deliberation, I would also like to know any kind of example you would like to quote wherein you, along with the parent, ensured that, yes, this value is inculcated and the child became what you wanted the child to be.
See, there are a number of examples of that sort, because believe you me, children are very sensitive and they are the least judgmental people in the world. And perhaps they are the most value-based entities on this globe. The only thing is, with time and what they see around, everything changes. But yes, children are somewhere, we feel, as they say, that we can learn from children. So that is a fact. So I will not go much behind. Rather, I will be talking about a group of the children, which is almost 17, 18 years of old, of age group. And not a school thing, but here I would like to bring in a personal, just a simple example here. So what happened few days ago, there were a couple of children who met, of course, to my daughter, because she's also of the same age group, and they just wanted to, venture out. So a beach nearby. So I was along and I just simply said, why don't you remove your mask? Because I need to click a picture. The picture will come good. As a very greedy mother, I said perhaps that this picture is going to be there for the memory, because it was my daughter's birthday picture. These children, all of them, they were 9 together, all of them equally, unanimously refused. They say, no, auntie, we are at a public place. We cannot remove our mask. Though it may sound as a very small thing, but don't you think so? These are somewhere the value-oriented practice only, that they were so clear that, yes, we don't have to remove masks, not only for their sake, but also for the others' sake also. So what I'm trying to say is, it's all about leading by example. It's all about creating that environment where children are learning from the environment and then moving ahead. And believe you me, that was a moment where I felt, okay, this is something which I should learn, though I turned greedy for a few seconds where I felt, okay, the picture should look good. But they were so adamant, they were so firm on that call that mask has to be on, because we are at a public place and it's a gathering which is having 9 children together. So what I feel is, these children are very focused. It's this new generation. Sometimes we underestimate them, sometimes we overestimate them, and sometimes we don't value their values. But somewhere I feel it's all about the environment, what we create back home or in the society or in the school. They pick up from there. So what they are doing is not something what they're doing. It is something what has been reinforced again and again into their minds, into the action and in front of them. So it's all about creating best of the environment around, where even if you are telling a lies to someone, maybe outsider, you should be having guts and enough guts to talk to your child about it. Like, why did I say this lies to? So I think it's all about being very clear. It's all about being very transparent, and it's all about being very, very honest to your children, whether it is a school or as a parent. Because at the end of the day, we cannot be superhuman who would be honest 100%, who are telling the truth all the time 100%. No. But wherever you are doing anything and you know that your children are there in front of you, whether it is a school or the family environment or the society environment, you must be very rational enough to explain it to your children why. Because as I say, if you tell why to this particular generation, they understand. I always feel that their understanding quotient and their intelligence quotient is much higher. Sometimes we do not understand because of the generation has changed very fast. So what we were 30 years ago and what we want our children to be today of the same age, there is no comparison in that. But it's all about, the learning which has to be created through the environment. Let environment be the teacher.
So the ecosystem that we create around our learners as parent or educators, that plays a major role. So as school leader, as teachers, those who are observing, those who are watching us right now, it is very important for each one of you to have a strong value system that you possess. But at the same time, do not give your same lens to your learners. Maybe their way of looking at things will be different, but that does not mean that they do not value you or they do not have the value system which is needed. I will quote a small example here because Dr. Bajpai was talking about examination. So one practice started in our school 3 years back. When students used to write examination, there was no invigilator. These were no invigilator examination. Teacher used to go give the paper and come back, and students used to write. The moment exam was over, paper was kept under the table, and they used to keep their head on the table. Now 2 years we were doing this thing, and when did we reap the fruit of this particular practice? That was during the online examination.
Yeah.
And after the online examination, we got calls from students that they had this urge to open the next window, but they did not do it. And that day we realized it takes time. It takes a lot of time to nurture the values. And that is what I say, that day we felt that yes, academic integrity is followed in the right manner. So moving ahead, I will again come to Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy, 2 questions. One is a very quick one, and second, the pearls of wisdom from you. So what is that one word that comes to your mind when we talk about values? One word.
I think to instill the right value in children, that one word that I would say is to accept them as they are, because that's the starting point, where we're getting them to understand and then make it a belief system for the rest of their lives. But if we're going to be judgmental, it's not going to work. So I believe that, create a no fear environment, accept them, as they are, and that's the starting point to build on anything.
That was very, very powerful. So I'll come to the second question later. I'll move to Dr. Chandrasekhar now. Dr. Chandrasekhar, one word that comes to your mind when we talk about instilling values.
Simplicity.
Simplicity. Wow. Accept them as they are. Simplicity. Moving ahead to Dr. Vajpayee.
So my, the word remains the same, which I have been saying all this while, the environment. Create the environment which gives them the hope that yes, the values what we are talking about, it is everywhere. It is not something we are talking about, anything which is abstract or which is, out of the world. So it's all about environment, creating the right environment.
So beautiful. So in near future, the industry will require people who are more compassionate, empathetic, and responsive to their surrounding. And I think all of our 3 eminent panelists, they have spoken about that, how daily, rigorously, and how meticulously they are working out to create that ecosystem wherein simply everybody will accept each other, and the ecosystem will be so beautiful that values will thrive. We won't have to work hard for those values. So before we conclude the session, I would like to know from Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy, your pearls of wisdom or the golden nuggets that you would like to give to the entire audience.
Well, I think we have to strive towards universal values. So just like the UN SDGs of 2030 states. So these 3 principles I would like everybody to work towards. One is universal value for the universal good. Anything that any child individually wants to do should be inculcated in such a manner for a larger cause or purpose of a community. The second one is that the human rights based approach, which we're talking of, keeping everybody at large in perspective, leaving no one behind. So that talks about equality. And the last one is gender equality and women empowerment, respect for women, and making sure that we're creating a world of equality. And girls and women should understand that we're not waiting here for that to be handed over to us, but we seize the opportunity and rise to the occasion that people acknowledge us as equals.
So Dr. Reddy, if we have educators like you who practice what they preach, I think the day is not far when we will not deliberate about these topics, but we will live these topics. And that is what I think each one of us are waiting for. Beautiful nuggets from your side. Dr. Chandrasekhar, your pearls of wisdom or golden nuggets, as we say.
Well, I think I agree to all of those 3 things said by Dr. Reddy. In addition to that, if I would like to add, I think I'll add one thing, which is it's no more enough that we develop and we grow in this life. It's also important that at least we add that growth and development to 3 people around us. And these 3 people should not be your immediate family or blood relatives, but try to bring up 3 people, because in my opinion, the power of 3 is unimaginable. If each one of us can contribute meaningfully for the development and growth of 3 people around us, I think the day is not far that not only the country, but the world is going to be a better place.
Power of 3 is very, very powerful. So the number of audience who we are, I mean, the audience who is following us today, who is there, if each one of you will take care of or take the responsibility of 3 additional people, not those who are in your family, just imagine how soon the number is going to multiply. That is such a simplistic and such wonderful nuggets you have given, Dr. Chandrasekhar. Dr. Kavitha Vajpayee, your words of wisdom, please.
Yeah, so I think Dr. Reddy and Dr. Chandrasekhar have put up, all these words very beautifully, and they've suggested it so well. But in my, what I would like to say is it's not only about the values, but also the attitudes, because these two things there is a lot of similarities and a lot of differences between the two. So basically values are more or less permanent in nature. It's our attitude which guides us to move further with it. So basically values, they represent a single belief that guides action and judgment across the objects and the situation. So it's all about the attitude, it's all about the value. So inculcating value, developing the attitude is something what matters overall. So yes, it's just not about the values, but also developing the attitude to hold on to those values strongly, because values are permanent in nature. Attitude can be inculcated and can be developed.
So we have the responsibility of inculcating, developing, nurturing, and ensuring that the right value and skill set is imparted to our learners. And that is what I think we are doing day in and day night. And during this pandemic era, wherein right from disaster-driven digitalization to teacher and technology together, educators have shown that when it comes to students, they don't leave any stone unturned, whether it's academics, it's beyond academics, it's values, whatever, they are the major guard for their children. So it was such a wonderful panel, but something that I personally believe in when I moderate any panel, we need to conclude by appreciating each other's effort, right? That is also the kind of value we have learned from the beginning, to appreciate others' work. So I will give the stage to Dr. Chandrasekhar, because he is the only male amongst the power of 3 females. So Dr. Chandrasekhar, if you have to appreciate your panelists, what are the words that you will use?
Flamboyant, fantastic, and also very, very, the right word. I'm just trying to pull out the right word. I think, in my opinion, the best way you people brought it together is realistic examples. Like, for example, Dr. Reddy's 1 million story. I mean, that's a story which can be adopted for everyone in every walk of life. Say with Dr. Vajpayee's daughter's mask story. I mean, these are real things which we experience everywhere. So none of us on the panel, including you, Dr. Seema, for me, the one thing which stuck to me was your introduction when you brought in that quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and the way you said that, this is the need of the hour and the gap between generations. I think in any panel, the way I look at it, that 30-40 minutes should be meaningful, where I can take away something. But in this panel, I have made certain notes, and I'm sure the viewers also have done. So, and all thanks to all the panelists. So that's my appreciation.
That's wonderful. So I can see the organizers on the screen. So do we have 2 minutes, or do I have to hand over the screen to you? We have 2 minutes, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Dr. Reddy, your appreciation for the panel.
Well, all I can say is that, whether it's woman power or not, I think we'll start multiplying it by 3, just as Dr. Chandrasekhar said. Impact at least 3 people in your life. Try to do 3 deeds that will influence others. I think that's very important. And coming to Dr. Vajpayee, I would say that, I'm so glad she was so honest. She put that educationist aside and she spoke as a true mother. And that's what I could see in her. So, there's always a time and place to learn about values, and it could be from the younger generation. Hats off to her for being honest. And coming to Dr. Seema, I think you've been one of those moderators who was an educationist at heart. So I could clearly see that, because you could connect with any practice that's being done in school. You were sharing your own best practices. So I think the focus of this entire, dialogue is to have some good takeaways that, we would all put into practice. And we'd like to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Vajpayee.
First of all, I'm so overwhelmed with this fantastic panel, because, what happens is when we participate into any such panel, it is always about a discussion. Take home is something which is a very rare thing which happens. But over here, I think there's a lot of learning which is going with me after this panel discussion as well. So if I talk about Dr. Reddy, so she has been having a lot of human touch in her overall understanding and overall discussion, wherein I found Dr. Chandrasekhar very contemporary in his approach. So, where he spoke about the generation gap, he spoke about understanding the children. And of course, Dr. Seema, I seriously don't know what to say about you, because you are one person I've been admiring a lot, because I can see that spark in your eyes when it comes to education. So overall, if I have to put it together, it has been an experience with immense learning for me. Because of course, when Dr. Usha Reddy was talking about the children who will be, right from the right age inculcating the values, wherein Dr. Chandrasekhar was talking about, that the principle of 3 people. So he is not restricting to just the school. He's talking about the entire society. So, and you are bringing a lot of wisdom together. So I think congratulations to each one of you. It has been a fantastic, fantastic session for me. And believe you me, and it is to the organizers as well, the time is real less here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vajpayee. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar. Values are like fingerprints, though everybody's fingerprints are different, but we leave them everywhere. So what we need to do is we need to lead by example, not just because we are educationists, because we are responsible citizens. So as a responsible citizen, adhering to our time, I am handing over the entire stage to the organizers. Mr. Chandan, kindly take it over, or Mr. Rahul, kindly take it over. And we were too meticulous. We followed our time. And I think that is also one of the value that is inculcated nicely by our parents since from the beginning, that you have to value time. So thank you so much. It was a wonderful deliberation.
Thank you so much, everyone. What a fantastic deliberation it was. And I'd like to thank each and every speaker, Usha ma'am, Chandrasekhar sir, Kavitha ma'am, and Seema ma'am. You did a fabulous job moderating the whole session. And it was a joy and a pleasure hosting you all. Hope you two had an amazing time as well.
We did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, I'd request you all to kindly try to stick around to witness India's top teachers getting awarded, because we'll be starting with the felicitation ceremony in the next 15 minutes, I believe, 10 to 15 minutes. So please try to stick around. Thank you so much. And now moving on, I'd like to invite Mr. Chandan Anand, Vice President, InnoServ Group, on screen to take forward.
Thanks, Rahul, for this. What a lovely session, in fact. The energy which Seema ji brings in all of our sessions is truly amazing. Hats off to it. It is, in fact, a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of a moderator to bring the best out of such eminent speakers who are a visionary leader or the guru in their own field. If you talk about maybe Dr. Kavitha Vajpayee, Dr. Chandrasekhar ji, Dr. Usha Reddy ji. So the kind of inputs or the kind of knowledge and the wisdom which they have in their brains and minds, and where there is a possibility of bringing that out in just a session of 45 minutes, 50 minutes is a true task. And I congratulate this. You have been very patiently, moderating these sessions. Every time you have been delivering this moderation, I'm quite impressed and I'm quite relaxed. The session is going on the right track, and you are not on time, ma'am. You are always before time. It's always 4 minutes, 3 minutes before time, where hand over the mic to us. And thank you so much. It shows the kind of passion and the teachers who are quite attached, and maybe you must be having a practice of delivering a lecture in 45 minutes, 1 hour, so that next teacher comes on her scheduled time, and the people, the students are not deprived of what knowledge they are about to seek in every lecture. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for making these sessions exciting day by day. Thank you so much, all the eminent speakers who you contributed with your valuable thoughts over here. So moving ahead with this, ma'am, I would just like if you can please off your video or on your video, and please witness this exciting event, because this event is actually been created for our honorable teachers over here. So Mr. William Arthur Ward, he was an American motivational writer. He once said a very interesting quote on teachers. He said, "A common teacher tells, a good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." So with this quoting quote of Mr. William, let me start with the felicitation ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving towards the most awaited segment of the day, the felicitation ceremony, the prestigious award, India's Inspiring Teachers 2021. Our respected teachers and gurus of this country are doing stellar work, and their unconditional effort is clearly visible through the strong dedication in teaching. We feel that you deserve to be recognized among India's inspiring teachers. ASMA is proud to announce that our respected jury members and organizing committee have carefully chosen inspiring educational gurus who have worked tirelessly in the face of crisis to facilitate education to every corner of the country. It's a matter of pride that your efforts are about to get recognized amongst the best in India. ASMA India's Inspiring Teachers aims to honor the gurus in school education sector. Before the formal announcement of the award felicitation ceremony, may I have the honor and privilege to invite the special guest for the day, a visionary leader in the world of education with incredible success stories and exemplary track record. Let me introduce to all of you Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta. He is the founder and convener of Higher Education Forum. He is a renowned teacher, researcher, and a thinker in higher education sector of India. He is a PhD in commerce and is an advocate of quality of education and is passionate about improving the quality of education in India to bring it on par with the global standards. He has served the director as chairperson of finance areas of SP Jain Institute of Management and Research and the director of SIS College of Management. Dr. Sen Gupta is an avid researcher and writer with 6 books on his credit and with more than 50 research articles in the national and international journals. We are glad and honored, sir, you are there with us. And now may I please invite you to do the honors. In your gracious presence, we'll be announcing the award ceremony. But before this, can you please enlighten us with your special address and your keynote address, Dr. Gupta?
Thank you. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chandananand, and thank you, Rahul Binoy. I'm not sure whether Rahul Jain is there or not. Then Rahul Jain also.
He's there with us, sir. He's there with us. He's a part of this.
I didn't see him. Right, great. I think ASMA has been doing a great job in terms of promoting the education both at the school level as well as the college level, and their research, the pioneering research in the area of education has really been commendable, and I must congratulate the entire InnoServ and the ASMA team for the particular purpose. Now, it's a great day today for me to be here, to be among the outstanding school teachers of the country. And my sincere congratulations to each one of them. For their deserving this particular award in the various categories. You know, we are today actually in the midst of a very, let me put in that way, that the transformation of the education system in the country in the 2 senses, whether it is the school education or it in the higher education. In 2 senses, we are actually in the midst of an extremely important transition period for the next 10 to 15 years. The one is that the pandemic has taught us possibly to migrate from the offline mode of teaching to the online mode of teaching. So that's a great transformation and a transition. And I personally think that that's going to be the future of the education. Now, whether it's going to be the 100% online education or whether it's going to be the blended education, whether it's going to be the virtual school, whether it is going to be school from home, whether it is going to be the virtual university, these are all matters of debate. But definitely the 100% offline teaching, which we are accustomed to since long, probably that may not exist anymore. And therefore, I personally think, people don't like this idea. Many of the people, when I particularly talking about the kids and also the school teachers, because they feel jaded, they feel very much physically and mentally zated, physically and mentally. It's not possible for them to compromise the work from home, the work from office, creating the home as a learning hub. It becomes a very, very, very difficult for them. We have all our empathies for them. But the call of the hour is that we have to move towards the blended mode of education. So it may not be 100% online, it may not be 100% offline, but definitely it is going to be a blended mode of education, even in school. What I'm talking about in higher education, the move has already been done. University Grants Commission has already come out with a circular by stating that 40% of education can be on the online mode. That means it is going to be the 40-60 mode in online and offline. And it's only a matter of time that the school education also move towards that. The USA, for example, or the Switzerland, for example, or the Finland, for example, or even for China, for that matter, for example, if you look at the school education very seriously, we will see that a substantive portion of many of the schools, I don't say all schools, but substantive portion of many of the schools have more towards an online mode of education. So I think that's the biggest transition which we will see in the 21st century. And I advise all the younger colleagues, younger teachers actually to be ready for this particular reality, that how do I teach my home also as a learning hub as it is in school. I see that's the biggest challenge. That's a very big challenge. I know that's a very, very big challenge considering the small homes we have, the jaded homes we have, too many people in two small homes sometimes, and therefore it becomes very, very difficult for us. Probably internets are not working, Wi-Fi is not working. So there's a lot of things actually. How do we keep the students engaged, etc., etc., etc. Even keeping teachers themselves engaged becomes a problem. Beyond 10 to 15 minutes, I'm talking about online mode of education. But the fact of the matter remains, we have to overcome these challenges, and changing the mindset is possibly the most important thing. So this, I thought, is the most important step whenever I meet the school teachers, because that's what I do. I meet the school teachers, I meet the higher education teachers. So this is what I'm trying to say, that get mentally ready for the new reality, the new world order of education, of the blended mode of education, if not an online mode of education. So that's one dimension I thought I will talk over here. Another aspect which is very, very important is that we must all be ready for the NEP 2020. The National Education Policy 2020 has already been announced, and I am sure that all the educators have gone through it. And if you look at the education policy, a substantive portion has been devoted towards the school education. It's for the final document. The original document was very big. When original document was about 250 pages, but the final document with the Government of India's prepared is approximately 70-72 pages. But out of the 70-72 pages, is more than 50%. It's about 60% which is dedicated to the school education. That essentially means that the Government of India has got a lot of focus on the reforms in the school education in the NEP 2020. And if you look into the NEP 2020 school education reform, there are fundamentally 3 or 4 great policy and the structural reforms, and that will have a tremendous amount of repercussion on the teachers. The first is essentially, as you know, that we are moving towards an education system which is at par with the international standards, international regulations. Therefore, a child will start the education at the age of at the early childhood education will start somewhere at the age of let's say somewhere at the age of 3 years, and the child will have an educational system of 15 years, and therefore by the child, the graduates from the school, I'm using the word graduation, the graduate, because that's internationally the accepted norm. When the school is, when the child is graduating from the school, his age is, his or her age is 18. So that's one transformation, because when we went to the school, we graduated at different areas. Sometimes we graduated at the age of 16, sometimes we graduated at 17, sometimes we graduated at the age of 15, sometimes we graduated at the age of 19 also. I'm talking about school graduation. But now there is a huge amount of standardization or internationalization which has taken place, that all the school children will be graduating at the age of 18. So that's a big transformation. That means there will get amount of uniformity as far as the school education is concerned, whether we are talking about the CBSE, whether we are talking about ICSE, whether we are talking about state boards, etc., etc. Whether all these boards will exist or not, that's a matter of debate. And that may not continue. All these boards may not continue in terms of the national education policy. But the fact of the matter remains that there is a huge amount of standardization which is taking place. The second standardization, which is possibly more important, is that we are always accustomed to the concept of a child is a science student, the child is an art student, the child is a commerce student, the child is a vocational study student, and etc., etc. All these concepts are going to go away. So the entire concept of 10+2, since it is going away, and when we say +2, the +2 used to be the area of the specialization, that's going to go away. So now what's going to happen at the end of the day, a child is going to become a holistic child that will learn something of the science also, you will learn something of the arts also, you will learn something of the commerce also, you will learn something of the law also, something of the music also, something of the culture also. So essentially at the end of the day, a child will no longer be a specialized child. A child will never be at the end of the day a specialized child. Child is going to be a holistically developed child. What is the essence of the entire theory? The essence of the entire theory is that the Shiloh mode of education, which India has been practicing for a long time, that has got the advantages. No doubt about that has got advantages, because as a result of that, we have possibly given the largest number of engineers to the world. We have given the largest number of scientists to the world. We have largest producer, the beneficiary, the STEM education in the world, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter remains that the education system of India has become a seriously truncated educational system. And therefore, an engineer is a very good engineer, but the engineer doesn't know any other thing. An electrical engineer is a very good electrical engineer, but doesn't know anything of the mechanical engineer. First of all, he's not an electrical engineer at all, because he doesn't know the applications of electrical engineering. But the second of all, the more important point is he only knows about the basics of electrical engineer. He doesn't know anything about the law. He doesn't know anything of the mechanics. He doesn't know anything about the science. He doesn't know anything about the economics and so on and so forth. And therefore, if you become a Shiloh mechanical engineer in an integrated world economy, it becomes a very, very, very difficult proposition. Global employment standards doesn't permit it. You know, all over the world, even in school education, they're talking about the school level attributes. In higher education, we are talking about the graduate attributes. These graduate attributes or the school level attributes are going to become the international in nature, and internationally, the children are considered to be more of a holistic in students rather than a specialized student. So that's going to be a major transition over a period of time. So a teacher, the important point is that the teachers, what will happen is essentially that the teachers are accustomed to this new reality. That I am not teaching a science student, I am talking about a 11 and 12 teachers particularly. I am not teaching a science student, I am not teaching a commerce student, I am not teaching art student. I am actually teaching a student to become the real citizen of the country. So that's why the education policy says that the focus of the education is going to be the lower level of the cognitive abilities, that is the literacy and the numeracy, and also the higher level of the cognitive abilities, that is the problem solving, analytical thinking, innovative thinking, and so on and so forth. So it will be a combination of the lower level of cognitive thinking and the higher level of cognitive thinking. And therefore, a significant portion of the responsibilities of the higher education is going to come down to the school level. What it means is, in America, if you look at it today, when a child graduates from the school at the age of 18, he or she becomes independent. He or she said, I'm not going to stay in my homes. I am become independent and I will do whatever I want to do. If I want to do work, I will do a work. If I want to do higher education, I will do higher education, but I am become independent. How it has been possible? This transition is impossible because the school education has made a child independent. A school education has inculcated a certain amount of a learning skills, certain amount of life skills among the students, by virtue of which the child has moved a dependent zone to an independent zone. In India, child never becomes an independent. Child always remains a dependent as far as the parents are concerned. So that's going to be the major transition in the education system, that after the NEP is implemented, it might take another 5-10 years, it might take 10 years, because the policy talks about 2030, sometimes it talks about 2035 also. And because of the pandemic, it might be delayed slightly. But I'm talking about a slightly longer term vision. If we take at it 2030 onwards, when the NEP of the school level is implemented, you will see a different type of the children which are coming out of the school. And therefore, we need a different type of teachers. To create the new generation students, to make them really skilled with the life skills, you require new generation teachers. You don't require physics teachers, you don't require chemistry teachers, you don't require history teachers. You require the teachers who can teach the student real life skills. How to think about a problem, how to analyze about a problem, how to go deep into a particular subject, how to analyze an issue. Because the idea is that if you teach a child how to look at the things, how to look at a perspective, how to think about an idea, how to critically think, how to out of the box think, I think the job is done. Job is done. Today, we are teaching subjects. We are teaching physics. We are teaching chemistry. We are teaching mathematics, but we are not teaching a child what to think, and how to proceed with the critical thinking and the innovative thinking. The focus of the NEP is going to be shifting from the subject to the thought process, subject to the cognitive abilities, subject to the life skill. And therefore, the focus of the teacher's education, the focus of the teacher is going to be undergo a dramatic transformation. And as a result of which, the teachers of tomorrow, what I'm trying to say, the teachers of tomorrow are going to be totally different than the teachers of today. So if you look at a general teacher today in India, I'm talking about at the age of 20, 25, majority of the teachers in India, ladies. So if you look at a general profile of a teacher in India, you will see a history teacher, a civics teacher, a commerce teacher. But tomorrow's teacher, the attribute is not going to be history teacher, commerce teacher, etc., etc. The nomenclature may remain the commerce teacher, but what will be teaching the students how to think a commerce problem, how to solve an economics issue, how to integrate the science with the commerce. That's going to be the focus actually. And therefore, the thought process of the education is going to undergo a huge amount of a change. And therefore, Indian teachers are going to become exactly equal to what the teachers in the Finland are or the teachers in the USA are. So I thought these are two thoughts. I will leave it with you that the attributes of the teachers. Because I saw I had a very opportunity to listen to the last 5 minutes part of the panel discussion, very exciting panel discussion, the attributes, values, and skills and knowledge, etc., etc. But I personally think that the attributes of the teacher, the attitudes of the teacher, the skill level of the teacher, and what they globally call as the competency levels of the teachers are going to be totally different than the competency levels of the today. And therefore, I am to say, the moment, the earlier we understand the reality of the situation, it is better for us, because NEP 2020 is going to be revolutionize the Indian education system and is going to bring the education system in India, particularly I'm talking about the school education system in India, at par with the best in the world. At par in the best in the world. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thanks a lot, sir.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sen Gupta, for your valuable insight. In fact, what you said is it's very true, and in fact, it becomes a shared responsibility of all the educators, academicians, we organizers, so that we help in implementing this NEP at or whatever level is possible. Because though we are badly hit by something which is not beyond our control, but what we can contribute is our efforts and our positivity towards seeing that in what ways the NEP can be implemented in the ways we can do. Let it be in school education, in higher education, and now we are very proud to understand that preschool is also a part of an integral formal format of the education system. So that's a very welcome move by the Ministry of Education, and it becomes our equal and shared responsibility. Thank you so much, Sen Gupta sir, for enlightening us and bringing this to notice again. And now the much awaited event which we are waiting for, the proud movement of all the award winners. We can see the smiling faces of the proud winners of the teachers over here. You are all have done a commendable task and commendable job, ma'am, and this is beyond the expectations of such event will be coming. You will be getting award. So these are just a in between phases where we think that if we can, by this small effort, if we can bring a little smile to your face, if we can gratitude, if we can recognize your small effort, so that your day-to-day work becomes more efficient, and you can do your day-to-day task more motivatingly. So that is what our sincere and small effort is there. This small forum is not capable or not authorized to recognize all the deserving works to all the teachers of this country. It is just a small initiative. Maybe we'll be coming in more events like this in phases, so that we ensure that all the capable teachers and all the respected teachers are getting rewarded in their respective domains and field. Thank you so much for this. So with this, Sen sir, can we have the announcement going on by the first name in the first.
You want me to call the name?
Yeah, sir. So once you call the name, or maybe before this, do we want to play a small video to have a vibe of the event ceremony is going to start? So the format remains, sir, that you announce the category name and the winner name, and we'll be displaying their award on the screen. And after receiving it virtually, we request the person should, to give a minute acceptance speech, not more than that, please, just to be on time. Sir, may I have the honors by announcing the first?
Yeah, I think we once again congratulate each one of the awardees and wish them all the best in the future. The first category is Outstanding Digital Educator of the Year 2021, and the award goes to two people jointly. First, Miss D. Priya Dakshinamurthy, Educator, Dalmiya Vidya Mandir.
Ms. D. Priya, are you there? If you can unmute and deliver your acceptance speech. Okay.
Yes, sir, I'm there, sir.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. First of all, I thank my CEO, Madam Rosetta Williams, and then my principal, sir, Mr. Captain Krishnan, and then my all educators. This award will always be a remember of hard work that we will have put into this perform. Moreover, this award will only motivate me to achieve more success in the future. Thank you, sir.
Great.
Congratulations once again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
The second award in the same category goes to Mr. Alok Kumar, Teacher and Academic Head, Sunbeam School, Varanasi.
Mr. Alok Kumar, are you there? If you can please unmute. Alok Kumar, we need a response or else we'll move forward.
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Okay.
It's a really privilege to receive award from ASMA, and I would like to give my sincere thanks to ASMA and jury members to selecting for this recognition, as well as I would like to also give a lot of thanks to my school management, Sunbeam Group of Educational Institution, Dr. Deepak Mudho, and Director and Amrita Varman, Deputy Director, and my motivate always towards the students' betterment and have a proper guideline to them so that they can achieve whatever they want to in their future. So the shaping students is a priority, is my mantra of teaching. Thank you so much, ASMA, for this award. I'm really privileged and held with this award. Thank you so much.
Thank you and congratulations once again. We go to the next category, Outstanding Teacher in the Special Needs Training, a very important category. And this also has been won by two persons. The first person is Mr. Nilesh Panchal, Special Educator working with Mentally Disabled Navjivan Charitable Trust. Mr. Nilesh Panchal.
Can you display the another certificate back in team?
Hello.
Yeah,
मैं
नीलेश
पंचाल अहमदाबाद से. Thank you very much, ASMA Group.
Nilesh ji, just 1 minute. We are trying to display your certificate on screen. Just a minute.
Thank you, InnoServ Group, ASMA Group. अहमदाबाद से नीलेश पंचाल, स्पेशल एजुकेटर वर्किंग विद स्पेशल नीड्स. बच्चों के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, करते रहेंगे, और जो आपने ये अवार्ड दिया है उसके लिए हम आपके आभारी है. जैसे हमें एक ऑक्सीजन मिल गया हो, बहुत बहुत थैंक यू वेरी मच आपको, आपकी टीम को भी, सभी को. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू नीलेश जी। आप बढ़िया काम करते रहिए, क्योंकि आपके जैसे टीचर की स्पेशल नीड्स में बहुत आवश्यकता है। काम करते रहिए।
Thank you.
The second person to whom this award goes to is Miss Jasmeet Kaur, Headmistress, Sunbeam School, Varanasi.
Miss Jasmeet Kaur, Sunbeam, Varuna, Varanasi.
Yes, sir. Good evening and Jai Hind, everybody. All respected members, my friends and fellows. I'm from Sunbeam School, Varanasi. Varanasi, you know, it's a holy city. I thank to all the jury members, ASMA, to my respected management, my chairman, my director ma'am, my deputy director. She is truly a very good mentor, my principal, who motivated me and guided me a lot. We work for these special children also in our school. And this award I will dedicate to these children only. Thank you and Jai.
Thank you. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Next category is excellence in teaching, and this also goes to two persons. The first name is Ms. Tanuja Singh, PGT Computer Science, the Punjab Public School, Naba.
Good evening, everyone. I'm deeply honored and humbled to accept this prestigious award by the ASMA Group. I would like to thank my previous headmaster, Dr. Sukhpreet Singh, for giving me opportunities and guiding me at each step. I'm also grateful to the present headmaster of my school, Mr. Ajay Singh, to support me and show trust in me. Lastly, I would like to thank the most important people of my life, my family and my friends. In the end, I would like to dedicate this award to my students who have given me enough reasons to keep moving onward and upward. Thank you.
Thank you. Great gesture. Thank you. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, sir.
The second person for the excellence in teaching, the award goes to Ms. Purnima Kumari, teacher, Sunbeam School, Varanasi.
Yeah, Miss Purnima Kumari, teacher, Sunbeam School, Annapurna.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Jain sir. मैं पूर्णिमा कुमारी सनबीम स्कूल अन्नपूर्णा। मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि मुझे इस अवार्ड के लिए चुना गया और मैं सनबीम अन्नपूर्णा की प्रिंसिपल, वहाँ के कोऑर्डिनेटर्स, वहाँ के बच्चों, उन सब से उन लोगों ने मुझे इस जगह पर पहुँचा दिया कि मैं इस लायक बनी कि मैं आज इस अवार्ड को पा सक रही हूँ। मुझे इस बात का बहुत गर्व है कि उन्होंने मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा सपोर्ट किया। थैंक यू एंड जय।
थैंक यू पूर्णिमा जी, बढ़िया काम करते रहिए। हम लोगों का आशीर्वाद, शुभेच्छा आपके साथ में। थैंक यू। Now we go to the category of Outstanding Principal of the Year 2021 Secondary School, and this award goes to Miss Tinu Jolly, Principal, Shameford Futuristic School, Pinjore.
Yes, Ms. Tinu Jolly, can we hear you? If you can please unmute yourself.
Yes, please. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, ASMA, for this prestigious award. I'm truly humbled and very happy to receive this award of the inspiring teacher, because as educators, we don't only need to teach the children, but also to lead by example and guide and motivate them to be better human beings. And this award will further encourage me to work towards that. I thank Dr. Mrs. B. Arora, a very eminent educationist, founder director Shamrock Group of Schools and director Shamford Futuristic School, Pinjore, for guiding and supporting me. A very special thanks to my entire team at Shamford Futuristic School, who took head on all the challenges that the pandemic threw at us and made this possible. Thanks to all the children for all the love that they've given me. And I sincerely pray to God for everyone's well-being and for this pandemic to end as early as possible. Thank you very much. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, madam. We also wish the pandemic is over as early as possible. Thank you. Congratulations once again. We go to the category of excellence in instruction leadership, and the award goes to Ms. Hani Chitkara, Associate Director, Chitkara International School, Chandigarh, Panchkula, and Principal, Chitkara School.
A very good evening to my learned colleagues and my sincere congratulations to all my fellow awardees for the great achievement and their respective awards. I would begin by extending my most profound gratitude to ASMA for finding me worthy of this prestigious award. Undoubtedly, none of this would have been possible without the constant support of my wonderful mentors, Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Chairperson, Chitkara International School, and the Director of Chitkara International School, Dr. Niyati Chitkara. Under the able guidance of whom I can safely say, I am what I am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you to the entire Chitkara fraternity for years and years of unbounded love and heartening support and warm encouragement. Also, I would like to thank my wonderful family for their motivation and relentless support. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations once again.
Congratulations.
The second award under the same category, Excellence in Instruction Leadership, goes to Mr. Nageshwar Rao, Principal, Sanghamitra Higher Secondary School. Mr. Nageshwar Rao.
Do we have Mr. Nageshwar over here? If you can unmute yourself and speak, please. We can move ahead, sir.
Okay. In absentia, Mr. Nageshwara, congratulations once again. We move to the next category, Outstanding Teacher of the Year 2021. This time it is primary school. And this award goes to two persons. First, to Ms. Shilpa Garge, primary school teacher, the Orchid School.
Yes. Congratulations, Ms. Shilpa Garge. Please unmute, ma'am, if you are there.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Good evening, all, and a hearty congratulations to all the winners of this award. I would like to thank you, ASMA, for considering me for this award. This award is very special to me, and I would like to thank my school teachers, my principal, my director for motivating me and inspiring me. Thank you to the parents of my students and also my family for believing in me constantly and motivating me. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, madam, and congratulations once again. The next awardee in this category is Miss Avilasha Verma, PRT teacher and in charge of Arts Valley School, ATS Valley School, Debravasi. Avilasha Verma.
Yeah, Miss Avilasha Verma, you're there?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I am there.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
congratulations.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely honored to be receiving such an prestigious award. I'm earnestly grateful for the recognition I have received for my work. I want to thank the jury members and everyone associated with ASMA. My director, sir, Mr. Sandeep Sehgal, my director, ma'am, Mrs. Aprajita Singh, and my coordinators, my principals, even my parents, my family, and of course my husband and my daughter, who had always supported me for everything what I have achieved right on my way. So our work is still not over, but what we have accomplished together has made a difference in hundreds of people's life. Let's roll up our sleeves and continue this journey with more dedication than ever. Congratulations to all the mentors present here. Thank you, ASMA.
Thank you, and congratulations once again. Now we go to the category of outstanding teacher of the year 2021 secondary school. We had finished primary school, we come to the secondary school outstanding teacher of the year. This award goes to two persons, Mr. Sandesh Kumar Bhatt from Kendriya Vidyalaya.
Sandesh sir, good evening and congratulations. If you are there, please unmute yourself and speak, sir. संदेश जी, if you are there, if अगर आप unmute कर सके तो हाँ.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, audible, sir.
Actually, I got some problem in this gadget.
आवाज पहुंच रही है सर, बोलिए please.
Very good evening to one and all. I am very thankful and honored that I have been recognized for this award by the ASMA. So since I am outside the, presently I am outside the country, I belong basically to one of the end part of the Jammu and Kashmir that you may be knowing that Pahalgam is a very prestigious resort. But the background of my family is that we had been business and all that. So I started my education from that and then come up to this post. And the one thing that I want to share with you all, that it is my privilege that I was the only teacher all over the country who was selected for the abroad posting. So I am presently working at Embassy of India, Kathmandu, sir. So it's a very privilege for the teacher because I was the only one teacher who has been selected for from the whole country and to represent Ministry of External Affairs Ministry, and presently I am working in Indian Embassy Kathmandu. So I should I thank Mr. Chandanji because I was not aware about this. What is this ASMA? Once I got some mail and from the Facebook, and I tried to join some webinars. So I was so glad to see that during this pandemic, you are taking so much care for the education system, and you are calling the best educations of the country. And we have learned a lot. So kindly, sir, continue this. I congratulate you for this great initiative. Thanks a lot. Thanks once again, jury and all, and congratulations to one and all. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Jain.
Thank you very much. The second awardee under this category is Ms. Swati Sohani from James International School.
Very good evening, everyone. There's a very famous saying by Chinese philosopher Confucius that if your plan is for 1 year, then plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. And if your plan is for 100 years, educate children. I'm deeply honored and humbled by the recognition which ASMA has conferred upon me. My heartfelt gratitude for the eminent jury members, the entire team of ASMA, InnoServ Group, and our school senior leader team, especially Dr. Amrita Vora, Director of GEMS Education India, who recommended me for this award. I feel very empowered today, and India's Inspiring Teacher Award has come with many responsibilities. I'll do my best of my abilities to make my students global citizens and carry on great work in the education field. I'll keep on working on the competency building, metacognitive skills, environmental digital literacy, resilience, and by providing enough space for constructive, social constructivism in my classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Swati. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
We go to the next category, and that is the excellence in early child education. And this is going to be very, very important in the next 10 years or so after the new education policy comes into the picture. So that was a very good one. We go to the first person under the award, that is category, Ms. Manjeet Legha, Director, Academics and Training, Little Millennium Education Private Limited. Ms. Manjeet Legha.
Manjeet Legha, ma'am, you are there? If you can unmute and speak, please. We can move ahead, sir.
The second person under this category is Ms. Mamta Khanna, Academic Head, Sunbeam School.
Everyone, I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am, pretty much.
Thank you. An award comes with lots of responsibility of keep learning and growing each single day and giving it back to the child. I thank ASMA for giving me this opportunity of receiving this award from you all. I would like to thank my school, Sunbeam School, Lehetara, Varanasi, for not only believing in us, but giving us opportunity to learn and grow each single day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Congratulations once again. Next category, the excellence in STEM education, a very important category. And award in this category is Ms. Kanchan Gupta, Academic Coordinator, Chitkara International School.
Ms. Kanchan Gupta.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone.
Yeah.
I thank ASMA for bestowing this prestigious award. I am humbled and extremely grateful to my organization, Chitkara International School, for owning my skills and turning me into a valuable asset. I really felt grateful, and I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to my director, Dr. Niyati Chitkara, and to my associate director, Ms. Chitkara, who really being my support system, feeling overwhelmed and empowered. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Best of luck and congratulations. The next category is excellence in creative arts and culture. The award is going to two people. The first is Ms. Sabhi Singh, Head of Co-Curricular Program, Chitkara International School. Sabhi Singh.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am. Let me flash the.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
You're audible.
First of all, congratulations, everyone. I feel absolutely blessed to be honored with this wonderful award. For me, ASMA has an organization of positive change, an organization that undertakes fun work and an organization which perfectly meets the requirements of today's learner. So first and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to ASMA for finding me worthy for this award. Further, I would like to take a moment to thank Chitkara International School's Honorable Director, Dr. Niyati Chitkara, and the Honorable Principal, Ms. Hani Chitkara, for their endless support and kind belief in me that has made this victory possible. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The second person under the category, Dr. Ragini, PGT Fine Arts, Sunbeam, Lahatara.
Do we have Dr. Ragini over here?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible here.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ASMA, for recognizing the teachers and bestowing upon us this honor. I am really overwhelmed. I would like to thank my school, Sunbeam Lahatara, Varanasi, for not just believing in us, but constantly giving us opportunities to develop professionally every single day. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations again. Next category. Sorry. Outstanding Mental Health and Wellbeing Leader of the Year 2021. This award goes to Dr. Gurupreet Bedi, General Physician, Head of
Good morning, everyone. I think I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you all for this incredible honor. ASMA has played a significant role in elevation of educational processes, especially in these times when the schools have gone completely digital. So it is indeed a matter of great delight for me to have received this award from an institution as brilliant as ASMA. I stand indebted to Chitkara International School for my professional diligence and would like to take this opportunity to thank the entire Chitkara fraternity from the bottom of my heart for believing in me, appreciating my effort, and nominating my name for the prestigious India's Inspiring Teachers Award 2021. So thank you once again, and stay safe and healthy.
Thanks and congratulations once again. Next category is Excellence in Online Learning. It's once again a very important category. And the award goes to Ms. Prabhajit Kaur, Academic Coordinator, Chitkara International School.
Good evening, everyone. I think I'm audible. Sir, I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So thank you so much for honoring me with such a prestigious award. Thank you, ASMA, for organizing and giving us the platform where you are appreciating all the teachers, all the educators. And this is the oxygen, as Sir already told, it's the oxygen for all of us. And we need it again. And for this, we would really be working harder and harder. It's been a long journey from a teacher to a coordinator. Lots of ups and downs, lots of successes, lots of failures. But at the end, hard work really pays. And thank you. I would like to thank Chitkara International School for believing in me, especially the director, Dr. Niyati Chitkara, and the principal, Ms. Hani Chitkara, for believing in me and for honing my skills and nurturing us. Thank you so much, and we would be doing the same thing in future. Thank you all. Stay safe, and we hope this pandemic
Ma'am, have you delivered the speech?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she has.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Next category is equally important, Innovative Digital Educator Award, and this award goes to two persons, Mr. Anmol Verma, Head of Online Support and Services, Chitkara International School.
Thank you so much, and a very good evening to all the wonderful people present in the ceremony today. To receive an award from ASMA in digital education category has been an absolute honor for me. Thank you so much to the wonderful organization for presenting me this award. I'd like to thank incredible chairperson of Chitkara International Schools, Dr. Madhu Chitkara, the Honorable Director Schools, Dr. Niyati Chitkara, and the wonderful Associate Director and Principal, Ms. Hani Chitkara, for their generous and warm support and encouragement over the years. And also I would like to thank my team and my colleagues who have helped me throughout my journey. And thank you so much once again. Take care, everyone, and have an amazing evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you and congratulations once again. The second award under the category goes to Ms. Payal Chabra, HO2 Computers, GEMS International School.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, fellow educators all across India. I have been part of this session since the time the award started. And it's really a great feeling to see the kind of work each and everyone and the hard work that we are putting through. I feel deeply honored to be here and grateful to receive this inspiring award. And also really grateful to ASMA to, the kind of acknowledgement you're providing to the teachers in this tough time that they have gone through. Also would really like to appreciate our principal, Dr. Amrita Vora. She's the Director of Education of GEMS India, an executive principal of GEMS International School, Gurgaon, whose support is the reason that I'm here up today. Okay. I do understand that being a teacher, especially when all educators across the globe was going through a roller coaster with COVID, all the teachers across India, across the globe have come across to share their thought processes. And that's how we are able to sail through this difficult time. So I believe that this is a time that all educators across India, especially because they have seen a very tough time, to celebrate that yes, they were successful in the past year. They have learned new things, and definitely, the learning never ends. So the coming years would definitely be another set of learning for them. So congratulations, everybody who are here, and deeply thankful for being part here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for that optimistic note. Thanks a lot. Congratulations once again. And the last award of the day is in a very extremely important category of outstanding teacher for the year 2021 in the sports education. And the award goes to Mr. Avneet Singh, Chief Operations Sports Department, Chitkara International School.
Congratulations, Mr. Avneet. Do we have you over here? If you can please unmute and respond. I guess no, he's not there. But congratulations to you. And I would please request all the awardees to stay tuned. We'll be having a group photograph And if you can please switch on your video and show yourself on screen, so my backend team can just take a click of it, and we'll do the social promotion of the proud winners of India's Inspiring Teachers Award on the presence with the presence of Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta ji. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Miss Tino Jolly, ma'am, can you please switch on your video, Miss Kanchan? Yeah, I hope it must have been clicked. So thank you so much, Dr. Sen Gupta sir. So you have been kind enough and generous enough to accept our invitation, and with a very thought-provoking, valedictory speech, and scheduling your time and announcing all the winners' names and the nominations by yourself. It is very inspiring, sir. Thank you so much for doing that honors. We all are so blessed in your presence. And congratulations to all the awardees, to all respected teachers. Okay, so we are thankful to all the teachers who participated actively in filling their nominations. However, the evaluation process identifies only few winners out of many. But let me admit and clarify that to every person who have filed a nomination is equally deserving, and they must receive an applaud for his or her unmatched valuable contribution in the profession of teaching. Without any doubt, you all are proven heroes. You all are the superstars of your own industry. So congratulations to all the people who have filed for the nominations, and those who have been selected by our respected jury members and our organizing committee. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all. You know, the process of organizing such kind of award ceremony is a very tedious and it's a very tough task. And many tireless days and months goes into the process of planning and its final execution of it. For this, I would really like to thank all the jury members, the organizing committee, Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta ji, and the entire ASMA team, who was working hard enough by inviting and getting the participation from all and every corner of the country over here. I would not, in fact, it would not have been possible without your support, cooperation, and motivation to us. I would also like to thank all the attendees, speakers, and partners in motivating us to organize this event and felicitating the deserving teachers of the country. It's a very famous saying, or it's very commonly said, that a doctor is truly a god on earth, but the maker and mentor is none other but a teacher. A great nation, all the great leaders are built through a teacher in just the four walls of the classroom, and we are missing that badly. I think a teaching job is never done. We must continue to innovate every day. Let's keep learning and keep teaching. So stay safe, stay healthy, and namaste to everybody.
Namaste. Thank you very much.